Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Committee of the Whole. It is moved by Councillor Karen, second by Councillor Hunter. Be it resolved that the Committee of the Whole agenda of May 13th, 2025 be approved as circulated. Please vote. That carries. Thank you. Councillor, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest today? Okay, seeing none. We didn't have a working session today, and I'll go over to Councillor Robinson for the land acknowledgement statement.
That's not going to work. Thank you, Madam Mayor. We would like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the First Peoples who for thousands of years before us were and are still the keepers and caretakers of this land where we now live and work, and in particular the Chippewas of Rama, Wata, Mohawk First Nations, and the Moon River Métis. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. We recognize all the generations of Indigenous people and their historic connection to this place, and we are grateful for the opportunity to gather here at this time.
Okay, thank you. We do have two deputations today. So I'll invite Kevin Goodman from Tall Pines Music and Arts Festival up. Give us an update. Welcome. Welcome back to Gravenhurst. It's still standing.
Are we live?
Like
Yeah, it's still standing. I went to the park and there are trees, so I'm happy.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Welcome. So I'll remind you, you do have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Done. We'll go
Okay?
quick.
Great.
Thank you. No slides today, just some notes and some comments. Just the first comment I wanted to make is I am not asking for fees to be waived. That's not the case at all. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the chief cook and bottle washer of the Tall Pines Music and Arts Festival. Dare I say the 2024 tourism event of the year, Tall Pines Music and Arts Festival. So basically, I'm the promoter, the producer, the executive producer, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come before Her Worship and Council today to chat a little bit about the 2025 event. Just to let everybody know, as far as timing, holidays, booking time off, the festival will begin set up on Wednesday the 16th once the farmers market clears out from the property. The festival will then set up and be activated on July the 18th and July the 19th from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. each day. We will have two stages operating this year. We'll have both the barge stage, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, and as well as the main stage. And this year we have booked 20 acts in total, and that's the most artists that we have had in the 4 years so far. Well, this will be the fourth year of the festival. We are once again closing down Bethune Drive from Phillips to Brock Street as per our conversations with the OPP. The district has already given us the approvals and the signed paperwork is in with the Recreation Department. In addition to the safety measures of closing down the road, we will have paid traffic duty. We will have private security, and the security team that we used in 2022 and 2023 will be returning. We will have an updated emergency action plan, and we are in communication with the Bracebridge OPP. As it relates to the site, the beach will remain open. The mayor said you can't close the beaches on the 4th of July, for those of you who saw Jaws. So the beach will remain open. Nevertheless, there will be no access to the festival grounds for public who will be using the beach. It'll be wristbanded only. Parking lots both north and south will be restricted for festival use. And we're going to try and have a little bit of a better control with regards to ingress and egress from both of those lots through paid security. I wanted to chat, specifically about the site and a couple of things. Number one is the recent opening of a restaurant establishment in the canteen. And number two is the site fees and the difference that I'm seeing between ticketed and non-ticketed events. I want to start off by saying I'm a huge fan of the boys. They have great burgers, and whenever I'm in town, I usually stop there, much to the chagrin of my cardiologist. And I wish them nothing but success in the park. But we have some serious issues with regards to our weekend and them being open. We are the only restricted ticketed event, to my understanding, after conversations the past couple of days with the rec department. And as the only ticketed event, we are looking to try and drive revenue. Although it seems like we are a charity or a not-for-profit, that's the situation for the past 3 years. We're trying very hard to keep this festival going and try and turn some type of profit in 2025. We have 16 hours to try and be profitable, not 16 days, not 16 weeks. We have 16 hours. We are a cultural and economic catalyst for the town and the region. As a matter of fact, we've been generous enough to offer half-price tickets to anybody in Muskoka. All you have to do is go to a record store to pick them up. Based on our calculation and the use of the TREAM model, we will generate, us, the festival, our suppliers, our vendors, and our visitors, over $1.1 million to the community and to the region. Hotels are already full, resorts are sold out, and nearby campsites have only a few spots left. We are reliant on tickets, we are reliant on sponsors, we are reliant on our sales, and whether that's vendors, merchandise, food and beverage, and most of all, we're reliant on public grants and funding, and I want to thank and appreciate the support of Tourism Gravenhurst and the MAT. I need this town and council to assist working with us and helping us find a solution with the boys. Mark and I chatted last Thursday when I was in town last. I have some ideas, but unfortunately the trailer that they had previously used will not be ready and be able to operate for the summer event season. We need to try and find a solution. We can't have them in that type of location with free rein to do what they need to do when we already have vendors. I did receive a note from one of the senior people on our staff saying they wanted to raise a significant concern regarding the location of Burger Boys during the festival. Their position at the canteen immediately inside the gates places them in a very first food option for visible to attendees. This gives them a highly unfair advantage over our paying food vendors whose stalls won't be seen until much later along the festival route due to the site layout. If Burger Boys remain open, we have some choices that we have to make with regards to the property surrounding the porch and the building. We understand that there is a lease in place, but we have rented the entire park for a paid admission advice, and allowing an operator from the outside to function in such a prominent location doesn't align with the festival's best interests and the vendor's best interests who have paid to be there. Additionally, the central location served as a hub for us as the festival, and that losing that space could be a major setback. We want to find a solution that supports the Burger Boys, that supports our vendors, preserves the festival layout, and ensures a smooth logistics for us and our team. The last concern that I have is safety. And I know that's an old building, and I talked to Mark, and he told me that we have everything that we need as it relates to gas and electrical. But God forbid there should be an accident. God forbid something should happen in that canteen over the festival, and we have to evacuate the site. Who is going to be responsible if that does come to fruition? It's a very remote chance, but nevertheless, stuff happens. We have 2 days to operate. We have 2 days to make this the best festival we can. We have a very short window. We're bringing tons of people into town. 80% of our guests come from greater than 40 kilometers away, with the GTA being the largest catchment basin. We need to try and find some solutions, and like I said, I'm not looking for a fee waive. I'm just looking for a fee break. I don't need a handout, I just need a hand up. As a restricted event, we pay almost $1,500 a day for the park, plus the barge, plus other stuff, needless to say. If we were an unrestricted event, it would be $315. It's costing us over $1,000 each day to bring the festival, and to bring the festival in a way that is safe and secure and lets us operate for our visitors, our guests, and those people within Gravenhurst. I ask you for your consideration, and I thank you for your time today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Goodman. Appreciate, always nice to hear about the festival. For some of us, I'm sure this is the first we've heard of this, and obviously there's some negotiations, and there's been some negotiations with the town and with Burger Boys, and in fairness to them, we're not gonna write any checks that we can't cash here today at the council table. So I think that we need to investigate. I think staff heard the message loud and clear, and see if there can be a solution brought forward, but I don't think any of us have enough information in front of us to make any sort of decision.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to let you know that it is important, and as it's always been with this festival, safety first. And when the biggest incident that happened last year is a little girl who was sucking on a sucker, made her sucker point too sharp and pricked her finger, we're doing pretty well.
No, for sure, and we appreciate that. But I do want to say, though, that the canteen has been inspected by the fire department and has a clean bill of
I'm sure,
health.
but there's...
So I just don't want to leave that hanging out there. Oh, we've got our deputy fire chief here, so we don't want to leave that hanging out.
I understand,
Yes,
but accidents, according to Elvis Costello, accidents do happen, so
Sure.
you never know.
Great. Well, thank you again. I will ask council, are there any questions for Mr. Goodman? Okay, so Councillor Strength.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, thank you, Mr. Goodman, for your presentation.
You're
Always
welcome.
happy to support Tall Pines. I get what you're asking. Can I confirm that you're asking for the I'm not sure even what to call it, the red thing, the bus, the trailer, thank you, to be removed from the premises?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
During the concert?
The trailer, if we do need to remove the trailer, right now, the way that the site is set up, that's in an area that we call the boneyard. So basically, cases, trucks, ancillary supplies are going to likely go in that area. So I'm not asking about the trailer. I'm asking with regards to the brick building with the green patio. You're welcome.
Councillor Roney?
Through you, Madam Mayor. I guess my question is, you inferred that the trailer is not ready. I mean, I thought the trailer was ready because it's going to be used for the Severn Bridge Fall Fairs.
I've been informed as of last Thursday by the owner that the trailer was, for lack of a better term, gutted, and all of the kitchen assets were transferred into the building. And right now, the trailer is just a shell, and they will not be ready for an event, at least our event, which is July 18th and 19th. And he expanded to me that the chances of them being ready for the summer season are not very good.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Cairns?
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. Just a quick question to you, Mr. Goodman, in regards to, have you offered, I'm sure it's probably a little political, but have you offered them a spot to pay as a vendor to participate?
It was our understanding in my first conversation that this trailer, and based on the press release that they put out, that the trailer was going to be ready for the summer. And our offer was, if you guys want to set up and use the trailer, that's absolutely fantastic. We will not charge you a vending fee. I was informed on Thursday of last week that, like I expanded to the councillor, that the trailer will not be ready at all. It's just a shell.
So if I may.
Yep, Councillor Karen,
Subsequent to that then, so they are set up inside the snack bar at the
At this time, they are totally, whatever that means, set up inside the snack bar. I was there on Thursday and saw it on operation, yes.
So while they're in the park, would you be able to ask them if they would participate in the Tall Pines event as a food vendor? Or is that not part of your group?
The other thing is, if they do vend, they have certain items on their menu that are in conflict with some of the vendors that have already paid. So, listen, we can try and figure something out on a restricted menu if they would, but the location is so advantageous. The only other solution is that we change our gates and change the whole site layout to basically flip things 180 degrees and put them at the back as opposed to the front.
Thank you.
And I don't think any of us want to do that.
okay. Question answered, great. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Again, I'm not sure. I'll look to Director Patterson or CAO Lucas to continue the conversation. I don't know what, again, this is the first that most of us are hearing of it. Obviously, it's a connection between you and the Burger Boys has taken place. And, sorry, Director Stacey, you were going to chime in?
Through you, Your Worship, I'm not, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure what the answer is at this point. We have an agreement with the Burger Boys. We don't rent out the snack bar as part of the event space. It's never been included as part of the event space, so it's a separate entity. Surely if the Burger Boys would be willing to haggle or work out an arrangement with Mr. Goodman, that's for them to figure out, but at this stage, we do have a lease agreement with the Burger Boys, and if we were to change that, that's us offending our agreement with them. So if you want us to have that discussion with Burger Boys, happy to have it. Just know that it's a fundamental shift in the agreement that we entered into them a few weeks ago.
Okay, so, Councillor Varney?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I guess what I'm going to ask you is, what is on the menu other than hamburgers and French fries, and what is on the menu that's...
And hot dogs and pulled pork
So is
and
there
corn.
something, is there
I have
something,
pictures of the menu, yes.
is there something on their menu that they could just use from their menu and not get into?
I haven't gone through their menu in absolute depth, or the menu of the 6 or 7 other vendors who have already, but we've tried very hard not to have any replication and not have 3 pizza guys and 2 hamburger guys at the festival, because we want everybody to succeed. And you don't want to cannibalize each other. So it would take a little bit of conversation, as we've heard. I think it's more of the location, where it is, more so probably than just the menu. It's a bunch of things. My number one concern is safety. I'll reiterate that, and God forbid something should happen. I don't want to clear a site and lose the festival.
Okay, So I think this is a little more complicated than we signed up for.
Sorry.
I think we have to.
I appreciate
No,
that.
no, I just,
cool.
again, I don't think we're going to solve it
I know.
today, asking these questions. I do think that we have to, let staff digest this for a minute or two. I think that it's important that the Burger Boys, as they know that where you're coming from at
Yeah,
this point.
yeah. We met
So
Thursday.
I think we need to just digest this information and then, go from there, because I just don't know what the answer is. I'm sure that staff have said what the answer is that we're in a contract with them. So I think we have to explore if we can get them on board to change, make some compromises in good,
Okay,
in
well,
good
we'll
faith.
cross that bridge. I appreciate the concern and the attention. I really do, and I know I don't want to put you in breach, but at the same time, it's a rather unique event, and we'll listen to what comes out of your conversations, and I'm certainly interested to further the conversation with regards to a fee reduction on a ticketed event versus a non-ticket event, especially in our case, since we're the only one. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Murphy, did you have a question?
No, fine. I was just wondering, with your conversation, since you'll be driving the footsteps and Burger Boys will be taking advantage of those footsteps, did you talk about profit sharing at all?
That was great question. That was one of my ideas, but I did not bring that forward until after this conversation
Okay,
as it relates to looking at a profit share.
right. And then the follow-up would be, or is your bigger concern that you're penalizing your other food vendors by Burger Boys being
Sure.
there?
My
Which
biggest
is your
my biggest
making money
my
or-
biggest concern is, God forbid, there's an accident. That's my biggest concern, number one, because I appreciate the expertise of the fire department and everybody, and electrical and HVAC, but accidents happen. So my biggest concern is the risk of 11 months and 2 weeks worth of work, because we start working on this thing 2 weeks after the 2024 festival. That would be my biggest concern. My second concern would be them having an unfair advantage over all the other vendors who have already been signed up and paid.
Okay.
So those would be my two main concerns.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor.
Okay, well, thanks again for coming, Kevin, and we'll, I'm sure. Okay, nice to see you. Okay, so next up, we have Bruce Hemphill from Gravenhurst Health Hub. Updates on the Gravenhurst Health Hub project. And as you know, Mr. Hemphill, we do have a motion later on the agenda, so I will be asking council if there's any questions with direct to your newest information, but our discussion, council's discussion will happen when that report is brought forward. Okay, so take it away.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to, through you to members of council and staff for allowing us to have this deputation. We referred to this council back in February when we made our original deputation. We referred to this council as a significant partner, and therefore we feel the obligation to keep you informed of our progress. And speaking of partnership, for the last 20 years, there has been a lot of partnership between the Rotary Club of Gravenhurst and the Cottage Country Family Health Team and the town of Gravenhurst. And through that 20-year period, there's been a lot of trust built up. And so we feel that trust is there, and we want to extend our understanding of that partnership through that trust. The first, let me see. There we go. Whoops. The first slide is just an agenda of what I'm going to say, and some of this I am going to go through rather quickly because some of it, for instance, this is a call to action, which is a summary virtually of the presentation that we made back in February, and I'm simply including it for your information and for your reading. I want to remind Council that we've broken up this project into 3 phases. Phase 1 is to secure stakeholder funding and finalize design, secure tenants, and complete the second floor infrastructure. Launch fundraising plan and recruit new healthcare providers. And so that phase is scheduled to be finished on December 31st of 2025. And in order to do that, we virtually need to know that our funding is in place from both the town, the district, and the province by middle of September at the very latest, because we then have to go out to tender and make sure that our tendering process is proper, and then allow 3 months for the construction of the second floor. So just a reminder that phase 2 and phase 3 are different than phase 1, and the phase 1 is the phase that calls for an investment of $750,000. So what have we done since February? And this is essentially what we're wanting to report. We've held our first fundraising event. It was Mr. Dave Phillips arriving in Gravenhurst to tell us all about weather. And so we had that at the Opera House, and it was a very successful event. We've started our community meetings, beginning with Pine Ridge, and we have several more community meetings scheduled to happen over the next 3 or 4 months. We have presented to the District Health Services Committee back a month ago, and we will be back in front of them in May or June of this year. We have reached out to the province and met with MPP Smith, and we have an understanding of the path that we're going to take with respect to the province, and that will include a funding proposal that will go to the Philpott Commission, and that will be done in the fall. We have established a website, www.gravenhursthealthhub.com. We have developed promotional materials. Some of those materials are available to you at the back of the chamber. We have developed a marketing and communications plan. We're developing fundraising leads, established a team, and we have begun the approach. We have met with the Muskoka Amalgam Ontario Health Team physician recruiter. This is the gentleman who works for that organization, and he's in charge of recruiting doctors and nurses. He is going to be looking out for us when he begins that work. We have applied for grants, and we have recruited over 30 volunteers actively working with us. We are a very busy group. So what have we heard? As we're going around and we're talking to members of the community, we have discerned a large level of support and enthusiasm from the community, both in in-person conversations and with emails. The community has individually stepped forward and made donations already. Between 1/3 and 1/2 of the people we do meet do not have a regular primary health care provider. The ongoing conversations on social media about the primary health care crisis and people waiting for years for a provider. People are asking how they can help, how they can get involved. Is the town, the province, and the district providing support? They're asking a lot of questions. But the main thing from our point of view is not only are they volunteering their time, their talent, their energy, and their money, but they are spreading what we consider to be one of the primary goals in this first 6 months, and they are spreading public awareness of the crisis that is currently in Gravenhurst with respect to healthcare provision. Local businesses are asking how they can help, and they are being asked how they can donate. What is next? Well, we are going to be having probus meetings. We are going to be having more fundraisers. We are going to do a direct approach to the businesses in terms of fundraising, and we will be receiving assistance from staff about that. We are going to work with the Hospital Foundation and the Muskoka HC on new services. We are going to have 4 dates at the Farmers Market. We're going to have a town hall information session this summer at the Opera House, and we're going to be making an application to the district in May, June. More grant applications and OPG and Enbridge. Provincial advocacy and application in September. More speaking engagements and community and lake associations. Expanded public awareness and advocacy is going to be the result of that. Gee, I don't see that clock anymore. Where is, pardon?
20 seconds.
20 seconds? Okay. The Rotary Club of Gravenhurst is going to be having 3 fundraising events. So, in conclusion, we want the town to consider the proposal that you're making this afternoon, and we look forward to your decision. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you for that update. I would suggest that you get the application into the district because it does close at the end of May. So don't wait till June for that application.
No,
I think it goes to May 31st. So, and I know that because I was speaking with the CAO up there that there has been some contact made. So good for you. Looking forward to seeing how that pans out. But Council, are there any questions? We will be discussing this when we have the report and the motion before us. So if there's any questions regarding the new information, now would be the time. But if it's you know, opinion, discussion, things like that, I would suggest that we wait for the motion on the agenda, which is after our in new business. So, Council, any questions? Okay, seeing none, you're off the hook. Good work.
Thank you.
You know, sounds like we got the right guy at the helm here, so thanks so much. Always nice to see you. Okay, so Council, we do have a consent agenda. It is moved by Councillor Johnston, second by Councillor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that the following consent agenda items be approved. Correspondence, Town of Parry Sound, RE Strong Mayor Powers. Minutes, Public Art Advisory Committee, November 11th, 2024. Minutes, Accessibility Advisory Committee, February 20th, 2025. Minutes, Municipal Heritage Committee, March 11th, 2025. Is there anybody who'd like to pull any of these? Okay. Not seeing any. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, please vote. And that carries. Thank you. Okay, so moving right along, we do have a motion of reconsideration from Councillor Johnston, and it is seconded by Councillor Cairns. It's be it resolved that the motion K from October 24th, 2024, Committee of the Whole meeting, RE Picard Lane, unopened road allowance and easement agreement with Rumble Excavating, Inc. be reconsidered. And I have been pre-educated on how this works by our clerk, and so we will talk to the reconsideration only, not the merits of the original application. So I believe that the reconsideration motion speaks for itself, but I'll let Councillor Johnston speak to that.
Thank you, Your Worship, to you. I'm rather loath to speak to things that speak for themselves. I feel redundant when I do that, but you're quite right. I didn't mean to cause such angst among my colleagues because I had a number of calls saying, no, you can't revisit that. I said, no, read the motion. We're not doing that. You're right, Your Worship. I think the motion speaks for itself, and there's an action that will be required after that, but that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Cairns is seconder. Is there anything you wanted to add, or no? Okay. So I will call the question on the option to reconsider the motion. We need 2/3 in favor.
Two people shown as not voted.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so the consideration carries. Madam Clerk, can you please remind me, do we go right into that right now? Okay, great. Oh, and there it is again. It's moved by Councillor Johnston, second by Councillor Cairns. Be it resolved that report number INF 2024-16, Picard Lane unopened road allowance be received for information, and that administration be directed to enter into an easement agreement with Rumble Excavating to allow temporary use over an unopened portion of Picard Lane as a means of alternate access to municipal address 1076, and that all costs required to establish an easement agreement with the town, including construction of an alternate access platform, be borne by Rumble Excavating, Inc., and that the final form of the easement agreement, including construction methodology of the access platform, be to the satisfaction of the Director of Infrastructure Services and Chief Administrative Officer, and finally, that the Director of Infrastructure Services be granted the authority to sign the easement agreement on behalf of the town. Or unsign, in this case. Councillor Johnston, you wanted to speak to the original motion?
Thank you, Your Worship, again through you. So this is not, as some of my colleagues suggested or thought, this is not a reconsideration of the rezoning. The rezoning was turned down. And you may recall that the good people of Whispering Pines, who made such polite and positive comments about the rezoning, once the rezoning had been turned down, just reminded us that this agreement is no longer required because it was being done on the assumption or on the condition if the rezoning is approved, this will be necessary. the rezoning was not approved, and I'm given to understand that, in fact, Mr. Rumble and the property have cleared out. So it's just a matter of removing that agreement, Your Worship. I think that sums it up fairly simply. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree that it sums up very simply. But if there's further conversation, happy to go ahead, Councillor Jorgensen.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question I have is, if the agreement was in place, and did it have conditions for removing anything that was put in place in that road allowance? I don't know if any work had been done in the road allowance that needs to be cleaned up. No.
I
Okay.
see the director shaking his
That
head.
was my only
so,
concern.
Okay. So anybody else have any questions? So we'll be, Councillor Strength?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. I find it interesting in the whole grand scheme and the process that if the zoning didn't go through, that the agreement isn't void or negated somehow because it was a condition or a support. So that's obviously not the case. We have to reconsider the decision, and here we are, if that's correct.
Director?
Through you, Your Worship, in the report, it did speak to that if the zoning didn't happen, we wouldn't move forward with this, but you're correct. I didn't build it into the recommendation.
This was our first reconsideration this term, so I know that the clerk was quite excited about it, so we're happy to oblige. So is there any further discussion about the motion as it was? I think we all remember it, so I will ask for a vote, please. Councillor Jorgensen?
Just to be clear at this point, because we're reconsidering the same motion, if you don't want this agreement to be in place, you're going to vote no.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so reset it, Madam Clerk, reset it. I heard a lot of, oh, I didn't,
I think you can still change your vote.
okay.
If you wish to change your vote.
So if you wish to change your mind, you're voting no. You're not voting, we've already voted in favor of the reconsideration. Okay, so, okay, perfect. So that is unanimous. So thank you for that. Thanks for bringing that forward. I think it was discussed at the planning meeting, so appreciate that. Next on the docket, we have the notice of motion from Councillor Hunter, suspension of council market review. It is moved by Councillor Hunter and seconded by Councillor Strength. Whereas the council remuneration policy includes a comprehensive market review of total council remuneration in the third year of the fourth-year term of council, and whereas a comprehensive market review requires an obligation to hire a third party, which has municipal, financial, and human resource implications, and whereas council's current remuneration is perceived to be comparable to other municipal comparators who have recently undergone reviews, therefore be it resolved that administration be directed to suspend the comprehensive market review portion of the council remuneration policy for the current term of council, and finally that administration be directed to report back to council on remuneration from a cost of living and other perspectives only. So, Councillor Hunter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you. I know that was a little wordy, so thanks for getting through that. So the budget for a council remuneration review, I think, is set at $15,000. Huntsville has just completed their council review in April, and Gravenhurst was a comparator on the list. What that report shows is that we are currently comparable to other similar structured municipalities, and at that meeting, Huntsville deferred their decision, further making my point that now is not the time for costly reviews, where we're going to likely end up staying with the status quo anyways. Regarding the remuneration itself, the City of Guelph pays their councillors just over $47,000. They're a single-tier municipality with each ward responsible for roughly 25,000 constituents. In Barrie, each councillor receives roughly 43,000, which is also a single-tier municipality, and each ward is responsible for roughly 5,000 constituents. In Gravenhurst, we're a lower-tier municipality, with each ward councillor receiving roughly 30% less than Barrie, and responsible for less than 3,000 constituents per ward. Even our district councillors who get paid by both tiers would never be responsible for the entire population, but if they were, it's roughly 15,000 constituents in Gravenhurst. So I can't get behind a review every third term of council when the numbers aren't adding up for me. I agree that we want to get younger people around this table. Looking to increase this wage is not going to attract someone on a career path to exit that, climbing of their ladder for 4 years. Instead, I think we need to put pressure on employers to see council as a complementary addition and allow their staff to take time out to become a public servant, similar to what a volunteer firefighter would do. I think I'll leave it there. Obviously, I'm pretty passionate about this, but yeah, I think we all would love to have more money, but I just don't think that. I think doing the review, seeing that Huntsville has already done their review, we are a comparator on that list. We can look at that public report, and we already do a cost of living adjustment every year anyways. Those are my points.
Thank you, Councillor Hunter. Councillor Strength?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I concur. How could I follow that? You've hit every nail on the head in a world where things are utterly crazy. I couldn't agree more.
Okay, Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, that was a very good explanation, Councillor Hunter. I just have a couple of questions because there's confusion out there amongst the public. There was confusion when we had a discussion and vote at district, and the confusion was, that we were paying ourselves more money, which is not the case at all. This, councils in Ontario, when they do have a review such as this, it's for the following term. And the members of the public that called me about that, when I explained that to them, I said, this is not an attempt by council to get paid more money during this term. It's for following that. So there's that confusion. I just wanted to mention that. Secondly, I'm not sure, and perhaps Councillor Hunter can explain this. I'm not sure. So does that mean that going into 2026, 2030, that there will be, other than a cost of living, that there will be no increase in the remuneration.
Tricky word.
Yes, it is. Because, and you touched on it, Councillor Hunter, and a credit to you. I am concerned that the remuneration may not be sufficient to attract young people. By that, I mean a young mother or father with children in the community. And you use the word career. I don't know whether you're referring that term to politicians or staff, because running for a municipal office should never be thought of as a career. That's the problem in Ontario. That's the problem. It's not a career. But I am concerned that we, and I've spoken on this issue, as have a lot of my colleagues here and at district, I am concerned that the return rate for, I did a study a year ago, the return rate in local elections and state election, or federal, provincial elections rather, is above 80%. By that I mean, unless you die or decide, to retire, or your other half says it's time to retire, you don't. And so there isn't an opportunity for younger people who might want to jump in. So there's that issue. Has to be an opportunity. And if they see a lot of people on the ballot and they're incumbent people, that's the word I was looking for, the incumbents, they might not do that. So I think there has to be a more focused analysis of whether or not our proposed remuneration for council members in 2026, 2030 is sufficient. And so that's why I was disappointed in the motion, just simply for that reason. So if you could assure me, Councillor Hunter, or confirm rather, that if this goes through, other than a cost of living, there will be no change in remuneration for council members in the next term. Thank you, Your Worship.
Well, I would suggest that's exactly what this is saying, and so we're not doing the review. So, Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. My understanding of this policy is that an independent committee be struck as well. I just need clarification to confirm that, I guess. Having served on that committee prior to this, I'm wondering if that committee will still be struck and they'll do their own, make their own recommendation without the benefit of this council market review, or will because there's more to that policy as I understand it. Am I correct or not? Because this particular motion only speaks to the market review, not to the striking of a committee.
The market review is part of the committee is only in part of the market review. So the market review involved 2 members from the public, and so because the market review is not happening, we will not be looking for 2 members of the public to assist, because there's nothing for them to assist with. There's nothing for them to review. And that was actually the catalyst to this, because I was supposed to try and find 2 people to volunteer, and I said, well, I don't really want to have 2 members of the public if we're putting the cart before the horse. If we're going to have a council that's not going to vote themselves a raise, then why do the review? Why do the work? Why spend the money, spend the time if we're not going to, if nobody's interested in giving themselves a raise? So I will ask Councillor Morphy.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Hunter. Did Huntsville agree to just after the review to leave it the status quo and just the cost of living, and just checking we have that information?
Thank you. Through you, it was deferred.
Okay. Council, anybody else? Before I go back to Councillor Johnston, I'm just going to put my opinion on the table. We did have a similar discussion at district, and we did talk about the drawing in younger candidates. And my position is, it's not the extra $2,000 a year that's keeping a young person out of their career that they've gone to university to do. It's the fact that there's no Employment Standards Act that supports people who are in this role. There is no, if you want to take a leave of absence, if you need to go on any sort of disability with this role, you are out of luck. You don't have any supports from any sort of government. You can't go on employment insurance. So it's not so much the cash, if you ask me. That's my point of view. It's all of the other things that come along with it, that you're not protected in this role that you are in a regular career, either private or public service career. The protections of a worker, which if you consider this a job, you're a worker, are not there for municipal politicians. So that's my point of view, that the legislation overall needs to be looked at and to be considered a job. But as it is now, that's not the case. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to actually go over to Councillor Cairns because she hasn't had an opportunity to speak, and then I'll go back to the top of the list. Okay, Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. So I am one of those councillor politicians who have made this my career. I've been a politician since I was of the age of, well, since 2000, I'll say. And that's 24 years now, 25 years, pardon me. And I have 2 more years to go. So I did feel that I've stepped in 100% to my job. I do do the best that I can for my community, and that's who I work for, is the people in my community. I, at the district, did vote in favor of encouraging a raise, an increase in their wage, because I would like to see more people. I was fortunate enough to have a husband who was able to pull the rail, help the rail. But I too felt that this town means a lot to me, and I feel that I've been able to make some good. I won't list the things that I've done, so but I just wanted to say that as a politician, I am a career politician and plan to retire as a career politician. And I love this town, and I will do whatever I can to encourage more young people like myself. When I first became a councillor, I didn't know if I was going to stay on this long. I ran and I got reelected. So I believe that young people can do this job if they're supported financially. That does help quite a bit. I know that in Bracebridge, I do believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the councillors in Bracebridge get approximately the same amount of money as we do in remuneration, but they also get health benefits, which we do not get. So they have health benefits that I'm aware of. I could be wrong, but that's what I understand it to be. So I don't want to go out and discourage people and say that this can't be your career. I don't want to discourage young people and knowing that they don't have any support in the future of their careers. It's important that, you know, we do take care of the politicians that sit around the tables. It's important that we, you know, make sure that they're taken care of, because they do work for the community and they do work for the people in this community. So I tend to differ on that, and I'm not saying we need a market review to find that out. It's quite obvious who gets paid what in which community. You can't compare us to bigger cities like Barrie and what have you. They also, I believe, get benefits, and we do not. We have a health spending account, and that is the only thing that that our council does get above board. So yes, if I was off sick, I wouldn't get paid, but I would be able to be off sick for 3, according to the Municipal Act. I could be off and miss meetings for 3 months, and hopefully I would feel better by the end of 3 months and could come back to council. So that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you again. I do agree with you, Madam Mayor, that the $2,000 is not going to suddenly persuade people, new people, to run. But for me, it sends a message. We recognize that everybody in this community, everybody in this province, even if their standard of living, by that I mean everything they pay during the year, is much more than it was last year and the year before that. It's a message. I agree with you, Madam Mayor, about the 2,000. The other point I just want to make, I want to clarify again, not so much for anybody around this table, but for the public again. You made the comment, Your Worship, that didn't appear to be any appetite for us to raise our salaries. We're not raising our salaries at all. There's a very critical element that has to happen in the meantime, and that's called an election. Right? We can do what we like here on a study, but at the end of the day, that only cost of living or some sort of increase, that happens after an election. So we're not raising our salaries because, as I said, that's a rather presumptuous attitude, thinking that we're going to be reelected automatically. And I do want to point out my last comment, Your Worship, is that I wasn't in any way suggesting that good people that are around this table that have been on council for years, it's now time to go. I was just saying that, you know, a little by little, we need to start bringing in at least make some opportunities for new people in this town to run for office. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to, I don't want to lose track of the importance, I think, of an independent committee to look at this. I mean, what we're seeing around the table, I look at it from the standpoint that committee went, I think, a long way to remove the politics from the salary discussion. And I'd hate to see that disappear completely. While I do agree that we perhaps don't need to do a market review at this time, I think it's important that an independent committee is the one making a recommendation as to what remuneration should be. Even though council ultimately does have to approve it and approve a policy, as we've done here, we didn't have a policy that had automatic cost of living increases, but that committee did bring in, as we talked about, the health care spending account that gives us, it is a form of remuneration as well, not strictly a salary. But as I say, I think it's important that an independent committee make those, at least do a review of this from time to time and make recommendations so that it's not looked upon as council, giving themselves a raise. So I just want to put I think it's an important feature that we have in this policy.
Okay, so I will say that the consultant and the committee go hand in hand. So this would negate a review, period. So if the next council, year one, next term, wants to revisit and have the outside committee, do what we normally do in year 3, if they want to do it in year 1, they're welcome to it. If this council thinks it's that important, again, this is why it's on the table, is to have the discussion. It will be voted on, and it could still go forward. However, again, it seemed a bit crazy if you've got 5 people around who aren't going to vote, no matter what the consultant says are not going to vote to put up the salary of the next council. Why would we spend $15,000 on a consultant to tell us something that we don't agree with anyway? So let's find out if we agree with it, and then if we do, then we move forward. So I'll go back to Councillor Hunter.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. That was going to be my point exactly, is that this is for the market review for this term of council, which decides for the next 4 years, for the next council. The report was just done in Huntsville, and we are on the list as a comparator. We can read that report without spending the $15,000. Yes, I understand that, they would bring something back that then we would vote on, but we are already, what it shows is that we already compare with them. So to me, it seems like a waste of $15,000 when it's not like we're forever getting rid of this. It's that it didn't make sense for me to spend the $15,000 when the market review was just done in Huntsville, and we are on that list. And if you've read the report, you can see that we are within the same, as similar to all the other towns around. So that's my point.
Okay, I'm going to go over to Councillor Morphy.
Thank you, through your worship. You sparked something when you said you were the catalyst of this motion, looking for someone to carry it through. And I have a question to the clerk. With strong mayor abilities, and she has the right to manage the budget, could she not just ex-nay this review without having to come through us? Oh, there we go. Because it's all confusing, the new strong mayor powers. So I think she can just kill this on her own without us even voting.
Well, I'm going to speak to that because I've made it very clear. I've made declarations that are on our website that I have delegated back the strong mayor powers that can be delegated back. My intention is to continue to do things democratically around this table and that is my full intention with the full mayor's power. Do I have the powers? Yes. Could I do that? Yes. However, that's not my intention. It's not how I'm looking to operate the way that I operate. So could I do that? Yes. Do I plan to do it? No. We were just having a conversation after the district decision, because as you know, Councillor Hunter was at the discussion for the district pay, so led us to conversations. So just on the record, could I? Yes. Do I plan to? No. So I just want to be very clear about those strong mayor powers, and my declarations are on the website. And we don't want to go down that rabbit hole. That's a little off topic, but I do appreciate you asking the question. Okay, Councillor Jorgensen, going back to you.
Yeah, thank you. I'd just like to reiterate that this, we're talking about the next term of council with a different council in place. And if the mayor of the day decided to use the strong mayor powers, that may in fact happen. But this, this remuneration, this policy is to set the remuneration for the next council, to be clear. It's not for next year, it's for the next council. So I think everyone should be clear on that.
Okay, so I'm going to recap just before we vote, because I am going to call the vote. I think everybody's had an opportunity to speak. One position is, according to the Huntsville report, that they've already paid for somebody to do. We're in comparison with the neighboring municipalities, and a COLA rate should be sufficient. It also does say in here that administration directed to report back on council remuneration from a cost of living and other perspectives only. So we do have eyes and ears here that will be doing this work, and perhaps, health spending account came up. Maybe there'll be some comparables made that don't require a full review. So with that, unless anybody has anything else to add, this is to put it off until the next term of council. Until then, it's cost of living increase only, with administration to direct to come back. Okay? Does anybody else have anything more to add? Okay, so I'll call the question.
I'm missing one vote.
So that carries. So there'll be no review. Perfect. Got a thumbs up from Human Resources. Okay, so now I will ask Councillor Jorgensen to please take the chair, although we're not going to change spots because that's too much work. Oh, okay, sorry about that.
Okay, so we have an item, thank you, brought forward, moved by Mayor Lorenz and seconded by Councillor Strength. Whereas members of council are regularly invited to attend events of special interest groups, associations, and networks to share updates on the town's business. And whereas Section 225 of the Municipal Act defines the head of council as the representative of the municipality at official functions. And whereas the town of Gravenhurst has in place a duly appointed deputy mayor and acting mayor to act in the place of the head of council as required. And whereas Section 238 of the Municipal Act identifies that a meeting of council includes a quorum of members where the discussing and advancement of business may occur. And whereas the town has a formal procedure for coordinating schedules of the mayor, deputy mayor, and acting mayor for official representation to invited special events. And whereas additional councillors may also attend these meetings, which may result in an inadvertent quorum of council, potentially advancing business outside of an official meeting. And whereas equity of attendance for the applicable ward councillor and district councillors should be prioritized a lot of words, over general council attendance. Therefore, be it resolved that administration be directed to bring forward a policy for council's consideration regarding council attendance at invited events with the intention of ensuring equitable attendance and that an illegal meeting does not occur. And discussion on that. Mayor Lorenz.
As a mover, I appreciate the first crack at it. First of all, I want to be very clear that this debate is not about what constitutes a meeting. We have heard from both the clerk and the integrity commissioner that social gatherings, third-party events where Gravenhurst has no official attendance are not meetings. This includes, among other things, chamber events, ribbon cuttings, and charity events. It has been the clerk's advice that we avoid quorum at annual general meetings. What this policy policy aims to do is to streamline annual general meeting and other meetings, like last year's hospital meetings, where we were asked to go and give our opinion up in Huntsville. Meeting requests to ensure quorum is not reached. The intention of this policy is to ensure that there's equity among council and to ensure councillors can attend meetings within their ward without the risk of an illegal meeting occurring. It also removes, hopefully, any decision-making or responsibility of attendance from one person. Staff will simply follow the policy and send the meeting requests. Currently, a request may come in that is non-specific for mayor and council to attend. This policy, proposed policy, let's keep it proposed, will take the guesswork out of who will attend and how we create equity and equality. The mayor should not be the decider who goes. And while every good intention by council members may be, we cannot predict questions or how conversations unfold at these meetings, and we may unwittingly put members in awkward positions. Not having quorum allows for open dialogue among the attendees and the town representatives. I think this policy will also be helpful if somebody is unable to attend. It will be easier to find a replacement with the help of the Executive Assistance Office, and it would be nice to share the speaking responsibilities with the mayor or designate, the ward councillors, and the district councillors coordinating ahead of the meetings. Lastly, today's motion is merely direction for staff to research, do the work, and to create a policy for council's consideration, which means we're not deciding on this today. We're just looking for information and to see what it looks like. And I'll be honest, there was a couple situations where there's been some question of whether what's a meeting, what's a not meeting, you know, how many can go, who can go, and they've snowballed into problems that don't need to exist with a good policy in place. We heard during our training, don't get irritated, get procedural. I think that's good advice, and having a policy that staff and council can follow and agree with, I think is a good, I think that's good governance, is letting policy instead of persons direct everybody's comings and goings. So with that, I'll throw it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Member Strike, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I support this policy. Generally, we see that the mayor and ward councillors are typically invited to these association meetings, which makes sense. To make it a fair playing field, this policy will alleviate any unfairness or oversights with any of the council representation. It will prevent us from putting ourselves in a position to achieve quorum, where potentially 5 of us knowingly show up to these events, which makes me very uncomfortable and uneasy. And I think we need to it's always used to be a shared responsibility, and I don't feel that this is the case now. And so with the policy, it'll be pretty contrite. Everybody will know when they're going where and on what day. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Mr. Johnston?
Thank you, Mr. Thank you. Uncharacteristically, I'll be very brief, just one sentence comments. As you said, Your Worship, we're not approving this tonight. So I'm going to reserve judgment. I want to see the policy. I am concerned about restrictions, but again, I trust professional staff, and so I will wait to see the report. I do think this whole issue of quorum has been overblown, and I've talked to legal people at district in Huntsville and professional staff. But anyway, I'll reserve judgment until I see the policy. Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and Councillor Varney, you're next.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I feel that, councillors are representing their wards, and I think they have a right to go to any of these meetings. I don't find myself talking to any of the councillors about what's going on in the town. We have somebody speaking to the people or addressing the people, and we're there to answer questions. I'm not going off into a corner with one of the other councillors and, gossiping about so-and-so and why are we there and what are we doing. You're treating us like children, and you're making us feel that, this is a job that we took on, and I feel we have a right to go to any of these meetings. Obviously, sometimes we can't go to all of them because of other events that are happening, but I feel that this is very controlling, this is here, and I actually did reach out to our integrity officer to see what she thought, and she felt that it's a positive thing for all of us to go to these meetings and discuss things. So I'm against it, I'm sorry.
Okay, Your Worship?
I would add, I'm talking about meetings that the clerk says we cannot have quorum at. The hospital meetings that we had, both the integrity commissioner and our clerk and the district clerk came back around to say that quorum could not attend the meeting. We all received that information. I'm not talking about going to grand opening, as I mentioned. I'm talking about when the clerk believes, or it's her best advice, that we don't have quorum at a meeting. I would like council, maybe not even this council, because who knows by the time the policy comes back, that council agrees that the clerk agrees with the clerk's professional opinion that quorum matters. I'm not asking for anybody to be the controller. I'm just asking to respect the clerk's, I'm asking to come up with a policy that respects the clerk's professional opinion on what quorum is and what meetings quorum should not be achieved at. That's what I think this needs to look at. So actually, it's not anybody controlling anybody else. It's the policy controlling maybe that's what it looks like, what meetings require quorum. I don't know what the policy looks like. I want to wait and see what it looks like. But it's about not having quorum at meetings, period.
Councillor Morphy.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I was prepared to debate this. I'm wholly against it because I feel we are already regulated by the province and the municipal code on how to conduct our behavior when we gather, and we're allowed to gather. That is perfectly clear. And we are a team of 9 people. We all came to this job with one vote, one voice, one opinion, and we need to be engaged and educated and attend these events and talk to constituents in order to come to the table prepared to debate whatever the issue is of the day. In the wording, it says the mayor, the elected mayor, the deputy mayor, and the acting mayor seem to have priority. So that means 3, worst case scenario. We have very active mayors in this room. If all 3 of them want to go to everything, it means one of us can go. And so that's my first point. My second point is that this is discriminating by that nature. It gives a level of power and influence to 3 people. And the rest of us, we can go if it involves our ward. Well, I'm telling you, Ward 2, 3, 4, and 5 don't have that many events. I have a couple lake associations and I have 1 restaurant opening. It's all in Ward 1. Everything we go to is in Ward 1. So it's basically the 3 mayors and the Ward 1 councillor that would get to go to everything to avoid quorum. It's overruling. Madam Clerk, I would like a recorded vote on this. And my last point is, indeed, we do have an election next year. We're going to have 9 new fresh faces at this table, some returning, no doubt, but 9 new fresh people wanting to be involved, wanting to be encouraged and attend. And we're going to say to them, when the when the CAO of the district and the clerk from the district, with the help of the lower tier clerks, arranges the first new councillor orientation workshop. And Huntsville's going to be there, Bracebridge's going to be there, Lake of Bays, they're all going to be there, and we're going to say only 4 of us can go. And with that, we're asking, who makes these decisions? I think the clerk already has. She's done it. Where there was a problem, we're trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. And we're trying to regulate people and impose, and can I go? It's confusing. It's just too much work. I don't think staff needs to attack this. We've had 1 incident in my 7 years here, 1, where the clerk stepped in and said, guys, you better not go. I pulled out, and that was it. And it was handled, and I think we should carry on.
Is there anyone else that wants to comment before I go back to her worship? Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just going to say this. We get an email. We've heard from the clerk. We get this message every year. We do not want quorum at the Lake Association meetings. It's her opinion, professional opinion, to avoid quorum at the Lake Association meetings. In a perfect world, in my mind, the policy would read, who goes to the meetings? Does the ward councillor have priority? Of course. But if 2 other district councillors chime in that they would like to go prior to somebody else going, then how do we create equality amongst them? So I have a request right now in Lindsay, the executive assistant's office, and it says, we would like a district councillor, the ward councillor, and the mayor to come. Who's the decider of the district council? Who's the decider of the district councillor? So I like a policy to be the decider who's in my opinion, it makes sense for a policy to be the decider. If 1 district councillor went to 1, who goes to the next? How do you make it fair? So it's the opposite about control. It's taking away the control. It's about respecting quorum, which we've been told we have to do, and going back to the opening, the training sessions in which we've had, they're council meetings. There's a clerk there. We pass motions to open and to close. Those are council meetings. They're council meetings. So I don't think that that's the right example to use, because they're very concerned. Clerks love procedure. I know that the current executive assistant doesn't want to make these decisions, doesn't want to send out these requests and say, well, who should I ask, or she wants to be able to just go to the policy. People like structure. People don't want to wonder who's doing what. So I mean, in fairness, if you don't like the policy, at least give it a chance. At least let us look at it and see what it looks like before making a decision. I mean, I think that if we look at it and it perfectly could be fair. I mean, maybe, and I agree that the language of the mayor, the deputy mayor, and the acting mayor all have. I think that's the only reason that's there is for, like, because we have statutory roles. Doesn't mean, I mean, I've already been thinking about this, that I would give up my spot for Randy or Councillor Jorgensen to go in as deputy mayor for certain ones because he's already there as the Ward 4 councillor. I'm just thinking about what's fair for everyone to have the opportunity and to not have to worry about once you're there and now there's 5 of us here. Now I'm breaking the rule. I'm not breaking the rules, but I'm not following what the clerk had suggested. So in fairness, I'd love to see the policy. If we disagree with the policy, then I think I think you have to at least look at what the policy looks like. But this has certainly been done in fairness and in to make things equal for people, and certainly not for control, because I can tell you, I wouldn't want to be in control. And I'm not in control because I'm not the decider now. I don't get to decide which district councillor. That's the dilemma. That's why we're here, is because I don't think that I should be the one to say, oh, Peter, Councillor Johnston, would you like to go to that meeting, without asking Councillor Strength and without asking Councillor Cairns? How do we make it even? That's all we're trying to achieve here. So, I'll throw back to you. That's all I'll say on it. And then I would suggest, I mean, if there's no appetite for it, we'll find out in a minute, but.
Councillor Morphy, I have to get my cues from the clerk here because I don't have the panel in front of me.
That's fine, Councillor Jorgensen. I just want to make a couple clarifications. If you wanted to defer to your deputy at any meeting, you could have done that without new policy. You can do that at any point. And secondly, when you do go, it looks like the lake associations are being targeted in this policy. And when you do go to a lake association AGM, they have the politicians speak first. And then you're invited to leave. You're welcome to stay and sit and listen, but you don't participate. You're not part of there. You don't have a vote. You're not a member. And they always run their council meetings after we've taken the stand, or at the very end after they've closed. I've been to one of those. But I just want to clarify, we're not in council meetings. We are just there to listen to the lakes, hear their concerns, and the BIAs and anything else we might go to. And I still think, to be informed and engaged, we shouldn't be going down this path of sending staff off to rewrite policy where we just, if the clerk sees a bad, she tells us not to go, and we're done.
Thank you. I'm told Councillor Varney is next in order. Go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to read something that our integrity officer sent to me. Members may attend networking events, conferences, and special events hosted and managed by other organizations, and even when the number of members attending may legally constitute a quorum for the municipality, if the members' discussions are not exercising the authority of the town's council or committee and not materially advancing the business of council, but rather gathering information in their representative roles, their attendance at the events will not be considered a meeting for the purposes of the Municipal Act, and the closed meeting prohibition rules will not apply. That's what, like at the cottage AGMs, I think that I go to one AGM, which is the tin roof boathouse down at the bay, but I'd like to go to the Muskoka Lakes. I'd like to go to I could go to Pine Lake because it's in my ward, but I'd like to go and meet the people and get them to ask questions and see how they feel. I do feel that this is stopping us from reaching out and talking to the population of Gravenhurst, and I think that's our job. Even if I'm just Ward 1, I would like to go to the other wards and be able to discuss things with them. We're not promoting town business. We're just asking questions, and if they ask me questions, then if I don't know the answer, I find out from senior staff. I just find this is very controlling myself. Thank you.
Councillor Robinson, thank you.
Thank you, Chair Jorgensen. My question is, so with this policy, if it was, to happen. So you're saying to pick a district councillor to go to an event, that this policy would help put that in play. But how would it? So how would the policy decide out of your 3 district councillors who would go? I don't know how to see the difference.
Who wants to answer that question? Go ahead.
Well, I would say that that's what happens with the policy. Do we wait till we get all the requests in and then divvy up the meetings? We're talking about Lake Association meetings, and with all due respect to our integrity commissioner, our clerk is our clerk is where we get our advice on what is a meeting at this council. It's not the district clerk, it's this clerk. So if our clerk, and again, you don't have to agree with the clerk, but I happen to agree with her opinion. I don't want to beat this to death. If there's no appetite to do it, don't do it. But all I'm saying is to say that it's about control is that's just not the case. It's actually taking away anybody's control, because it's not up to, again, same with, we had to have we put in a conference policy, who is going to the conferences, just so it was equitable, so everybody had a shot. If you want to follow the clerk's recommendations. If you don't want to follow the clerk's recommendation, that's fine. That's fine. That's up to you. You don't have to. But the policy is geared towards taking the clerk's recommendation on what is a meeting. Let's look at the policy. If you don't want a policy, we're going to vote no. So with all due respect, Mr. Chair, I can see the Councillor Hunter would like to speak to it, but I think, I think people have made their points pretty clear. But back to the district councillor, what I would suggest, Councillor Robinson, is that if Councillor Johnson has been to one, and Councillor Cairns has been to one, and Councillor Strank hasn't been to one, and we get a request for a district councillor, or we put it out, but that's what I'm looking to figure out. How do you, if you believe the clerk is right on quorum at these meetings, if you believe that, and you want to abide by that rule, how do you determine which 4 go? That's all. So I'll give it up, and then I would suggest that you're the chair, you can do whatever you want, but.
Thank you. Councillor Hunter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, we keep going around the table and talking about the policy, but we don't know what the policy is. So this is just saying we would like to see a policy, and then we can vote it down if we want to vote it down. But we don't have anything to work with right now until we see it. So I'm in support of this because I want to see it in place. I want to see what staff comes back with, and then we can have this fulsome discussion with what's in it.
Councillor Cairns next. Go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So I have a really hard time with this because I do feel it is control. I do feel that we need to be able to listen. I believe we've all been personally invited to the Muskoka Lakes Association meeting, their AGM for the summer. I think everyone is. I've already responded and said, yes, I could go. But if the clerk says to us that, only, under 5 can go, then I'm going to listen to the clerk because that's what we're supposed to do. Regarding back at the doctor's office, the doctor's meeting, or the hospital meeting, I should say, I was the one that was, I arranged a lot of people to go to the meeting, not thinking that it was going to be a conflict. We understood it was, and I, with my position sitting on the Gravenhurst, or at the district on the health committee, and sitting on the Board of Health, I felt it was very important for me to go to that meeting, and I appreciate the fact that Councillor Morphy did not go, so that I could attend. But I do think that we have common sense. I do think that we are going to listen to what our clerk has to say. I don't think that we're going to ignore her recommendations, because we know that we don't want to get in trouble with the Integrity Commissioner or with the Ombudsman, who handles meetings, I believe. So, I mean, I can't vote in favor of something that we're going to bring forward to, again, give more control. I mean, sitting is, I just don't agree with the policy, or even bringing up a policy. I think that the clerk does a great job in letting us know if she feels that this meeting would be of quorum, then we wouldn't attend, or we would try to make some arrangements with each other so that we could attend without receiving quorum, but that we all, then possibly, if, you know, only 4 of us go to the meeting, then out of that 4 that went to that meeting, then someone should be responsible out of that group. The same as we do when we go away to an OSUM conference, AMO conference, any conference, they come back and they give us a report. Because I'm feeling, and I spoke to the CAO about it, that we're not all informed of everything that's going on, and nor should we be, but we should be alerted and not know, not hear it through the grapevine or read it on Facebook, when we could actually hear it from our own council members to let us know what's happening at other meetings and things like that. That's not considered having a meeting, that's just considering that they're informing us. So maybe that's something that we may look at, but I don't believe that a policy is in need.
I'd like to chime in if there's no one left here. I think Councillor Hunter hit it on the head, that by bringing forward a policy, we can agree with it, we can modify it, we can turn it down. Right now, we're in a vacuum. There is no policy on this. And quite frankly, I think we're asking the clerk, without a policy, a number of people have said, oh, well, the clerk lets us know if it's a meeting. The clerk, why should she have to be in the loop on every, you know, every little invitation, as an example? So, you know, I can see the need for a policy, and that policy we can review that, and we can modify it, and we can make sure that it meets our needs. But I'm going to say that, you know, more and more, unfortunately, lake associations and other interest groups have a political agenda, and we can get trapped at a meeting discussing why did you vote that way, or being lobbied for before you know, could be an application before council. So I think we do have to worry about quorum at meetings where there are policy decisions that we will potentially be deciding on. It's a lot different from you know, a regatta or something like that, you know, where it's just a social event. And very often, we're not going to know the agenda before we get to these meetings. So in either case, I think you know, we're talking about, let's bring something forward. Let's have staff draft something that, hearing this discussion, they have some information on our concerns about it. I do agree that it should be equitable. I think that just one other thing I do want to say, that, you know, the section on the procedure for the mayor, deputy mayor, and acting mayor. In fact, the statutory requirements of the Municipal Act, the only person who really has a role is the mayor. The other ones are not defined, and one of those roles is the mayor is the official spokesman of the corporation of the town. So we have to bear that in mind, that sometimes when we are asked questions, you know, what's gone on here, well, the official position may be different from your own opinion on something, and I think we have to be aware of that. So the mayor does have a role in these types of meetings when the mayor is invited. So regardless, I'm going to support this particular motion, and to see what the policy would look like. Okay, Councillor Morphy, you have one last comment, and then we'll call for the vote.
Yeah, just one last, because we're going to have to go around again if this gets supported. We've just saved $15,000. Now we're just going to go around and spend it on whether or not we can go to a meeting, and it's already legislated by the Municipal Act, what we can do, what we can't do. And if we get asked an awkward question, we don't answer it. We don't advance business. We're not idiots. If we get caught in a corner, like if 5 of us wander over and decide we're going to build a windmill farm down in Barkway, we know it's wrong. We know it's wrong. But the clerk's going to be inundated. I mean, library open houses, we get hundreds of invitations, and we've got to decide each time. I don't get wound up very often, but I'm wound up on this. This is a waste of time. It's a waste of staff time, and we don't need the policy. It already exists. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Final comment, please.
The last comment is, very often we're not invited to deliver town business. AGMs, we are specifically asked to bring information and to participate in the meetings. Those are very different. I listed a whole bunch of things that we're not talking about going to the library. We're talking about where we're invited to go for business with your town hat on. As a counselor, you're representing the town at these things, and the expectation is that we're there to discuss town business with them. So, again, it's not about library. It's not about all these fun little things. I'm all for fun. Even the Muskoka Lakes Association meeting that was brought up today, nobody's been asked to speak. The invitation for that is very different than the invitation that we're receiving for presentations of council. They're different. It's different. And the policy will decide what it is and what it isn't. So again, I just want to be very clear. That's not what we're talking about, these fun little things. That's not that's not what's happening. That's not what is being proposed. I want a fair way to designate spokespeople to go to the Lake Association meetings. That's all. That's it. So anyway, I will allow, we got to wrap this up, but I just want to be very clear. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about social activities. We're talking about going there specifically on town business, being a representative of the town for town business, and making that fair. Thank you. That's it. I think you got to wrap it up because this is going around and around.
Councillor Varney, I see your light, but I'm going to just call for the vote, and I would remind that we had a recorded vote asked for, so we'll call for the vote on this.
Thank you, Council. I just would like to just remind process. I'm going to change the mic so that you can speak freely without a chair or myself needing to grant you. I need you to say out loud your vote as well as press it on the button in front of you. Just finding the button. Hold on. Okay. Councillor Johnston. Oh, would you like the motion back up?
No, I'm saying we don't see the option to vote.
Yeah.
You're correct. Now you should. Councillor Johnston.
Yes.
Councillor Robinson.
Yes.
Councillor Varney. No. Councillor Hunter.
Yes.
Councillor Karen.
No.
Councillor Jorgensen.
Yes.
Councillor Strength.
Yes.
Councillor Morphy. Can you press your mic? I didn't hear you.
No.
Thank you. Mayor Lorenz.
Yes.
Councillor Lorenz, you didn't vote. Didn't record your vote. However,
yeah,
the
it was a
motion-
yes.
The motion carried.
Yeah, the motion carries. Thank you. Pass the chair back.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that. Moving right along, we've been here for some time, but we're going to keep on going through because the next item is new business. Hold on one second, Madam Clerk, where are we here? Okay, so we did not want to put this off because we do have some guests here today, so we don't want to hold them up, and then we will be taking a break after this, this motion. So, it is moved by Councillor Strength, second by Councillor Varney. Be it resolved that report number ADM 2025-04 RE Cottage Country Family Health Team Hub proposal be received for information, and that the town make a maximum funding commitment of $200,000 to the Gravenhurst Health Hub as a means of improving health care for community and region, and that the funds be transferred from the Terrence Haight Reserve, and that Health Hub contribution be conditional upon confirmation that the funds are indeed necessary at the time of construction, and finally, that the Chief Administration Officer and the Director of Financial Services Treasurer to be authorized to execute any necessary agreements giving action to this contribution. So, Mr. Lucas, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be relatively brief, as this report is really a follow-up to committee's previously expressed desire to contribute to this project financially and otherwise. And that formally occurred during the most recent budget deliberations in December of 2024, when Council passed the motion that's contained within the report, that in essence suggested that they wanted to contribute financially in principle, and then we were to go and figure out exactly what was necessary in order to feed that decision, which is here before you here today. More generally, as committee is aware, that the town has elevated its work with the Cottage Country Family Health Team, more recently with the Rotary Club and the steering committee, to advocate to the province to see this vision come to fruition, and particularly over the last couple of years. And a lot of those details are contained in the report that's before you here today. I won't regurgitate all of the contents of the report in the essence of time, but really the content speaks to what that advocacy looked like at forums like the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the state of healthcare in the community and the types of services that may come to this site in the future, the fundraising structure that's been prepared by the steering committee, and how the town might finance the requested contribution that you see before you here today. It's important to note that promoting community safety, health, and well-being for all residents is a direct goal in the town's recently developed strategic plan. And fulfilling this funding request represents a real and tangible opportunity for council to meet that mandate. There's actually very specific healthcare-related directives in that policy document that really gave direction for us to bring this forward here today. I'd also suggest that such an investment here today really is a representation of investment in physician recruitment and incentivization as well, by assisting in creating that physical space for physicians and specialists to expand services in the area. So, Madam Mayor, I won't get too much into the contents of the report. I wanted to provide a high-level overview of it. I think the conclusions and recommendations speak for themselves. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions. The nature of the recommendation contains conditions in it that you'd probably see you would have seen in such reports as the local share report as well. Really, it's to provide a little bit of protection to the town in the event that money came from other sources. So in essence, what it's suggesting is that if the money's not necessary, we shouldn't be taxing our residents for that. So a bit of a protection measure in the recommendation before you here today, but that isn't necessarily an impediment to providing the contribution sooner than later, so the steering committee can continue on the good work that they're doing. So, Madam Mayor, I think I'll stop there. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Council, it's exciting. I am going to go over to the mover, Councillor Strength.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, it's to follow Mr. Lucas's sentiments for all of those reasons. Obviously, we have, as councillors, difficult decisions to make, as some of you may have heard this afternoon, and we have easy decisions to make. And this is definitely, in my opinion, an easy decision to make. We've been at it for 20 years, as Mr. Hempel has pointed out, and in the last 2 years, thanks to our mayor and to Mr. Lucas, there's a goal in sight. So I am more than happy to support this motion and look forward to the future.
Okay, Councillor Varney, you're the seconder. Did you want to chime in?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I will be agreeing with Councillor Eider and definitely.
It's okay, go ahead.
I still say that. Crichelli. Sorry. And I will definitely be saying yes to this motion. I think it's very exciting for the town of Gravenhurst. And I really commend Rotary and Mr. Hemphill for all the work that you have put into this. And I know it will be successful, just like other projects that you've taken on. So yes, this is really exciting. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go over to Councillor Jorgensen.
Thank you, Worship. Just a question, because the report speaks to $20,000 and $180,000 from the Terrence Haight. Is that correct? Because the motion only speaks to the $200,000 coming directly from Terrence Haight.
Mr. Lucas?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, that would be sort of the accounting or the budgeting framework or contribution framework that we would impose. So it would be in accordance with the report. The $20,000 council had actually approved through the budget deliberations to include really any sort of project management consultation or those sorts of things to help the group get off the ground. What we recognized very early was that the steering committee has a really firm structure, good support, good volunteer base. So the thinking was that contributing to this project it made sense to use those funds to offset the draw on the Terrence Haight Reserve for this year in particular.
Okay, Councillor Cairns?
Thank you, Worship, and through you. So, yes, I know we're all very passionate about this project and seeing the development of the health hub for Gravenhurst. My question would be is in the resolution, and it says if needed, I believe, and I think that we should strike the if needed because it is needed. It's part of their phase 1 plan, and so it is needed. It's not. Their phase 1 is from the district, from the town, and the other amenities as well that they've asked for to come up to the $750,000, which is also including the Rotary's donation. I think that that should be just tweaked a little bit. That says, and I don't have the resolution in front of me, unfortunately. Thank you. So, and that health hub contribution be conditional upon confirmation that the funds are indeed necessary at the time of construction. I think that needs to be changed, that the funds are needed, and we hope that, that will be contributed. As of today, we make that commitment of that $200,000 and not wait, because I think that right now it's giving Gravenhurst the opportunity to say, we support this wholeheartedly. We are moving forward with it. That Gravenhurst, needs this in our community. It's going to help us to grow. It's going to help us to have more tax base. I mean, we're only looking at bettering our community by saying yes to the $200,000 to go forward. And no one is denying the fact of the $200,000, but I just think that in this motion that we need to change that. It would be my recommendation we change it from, when seen if needed to it happening today.
Okay, what's your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The resolution that I'm reading says, "And that Health Hub contribution be conditional upon confirmation that the funds are indeed necessary at the time of construction." That's what I'm reading. Is there something else that I'm not reading correctly?
Councillor Cairns?
No, that's exactly what you're reading. It says that the funds are indeed, that Health Hub contribution conditionally upon confirmation that funds that indeed necessary at the time of construction. Well, in order to get the construction going, we need that $200,000 to put towards the Health Hub today. Not waiting to see if they have the money, because their commitments right now are from what I said, the town for 200, the district for 200. These are all asks. The other amenities are all asking for money, which comes up to a total of $750,000. So it is necessary before the start of construction to make sure that they have the money so they can do the construction, is all I'm saying. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go over to Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. On that point, first of all, I want to add my voice to the Rotary Club for all that you're doing on this project. I think, in my view anyway, this project will be the highlight of this term of council, because it will have, as Councillor Karen said, such impressive benefits to this community. So thank you, Rotary Club, and all that you do on this project. My only comment, Your Worship, is on the language, and because I do agree. I think the 200,000. The way I read that, confirmation that the funds are indeed necessary at the time of construction, I think we're talking about the level of funds. I think we can commit the 200,000, and then that clause in there at time of construction, it may be we have to adjust that. But I think the Rotary deputation this afternoon said that the funds are needed, and I think that it can be misunderstood, is all I'm saying. Perhaps we can clean that language up. My other question is that at some point in time, further to the last point, I'd like to see a report from the Director of Finance about some scenarios as to how we will finance this. If in fact the amount that's required is up or down, I'd like to see some indication from the Director of Finance as to how we would do that. Thank you.
Okay, I do believe it's coming straight out of a reserve, the Terrence Haight Reserve, so, yeah, so, okay, Director Campbell. So I think that's where, fast answer, how's that? And then, on this language, I mean, if we took out that paragraph, does it change at all? Like, does it change the sentiment at all?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Not significantly, but as I said in my preamble, what would happen here is, provided this is approved, in essence, we would enter into a relatively straightforward funding agreement with the steering committee. This wouldn't be an impediment. What this isn't suggesting is that we wouldn't provide the contribution until such time as the construction. What it's suggesting is that you'd have an agreement that says we will contribute up to 200,000 in the event, for lack of a better example, the province stepped up and said, you know what, we're going to pay for the whole thing. We would have no mechanism. We would have no mechanism to say, to claw that back and say, okay, the appropriate jurisdiction is going to pay for this, but the 200,000 is still gone. So that's the sort of protection measures that I was suggesting in that clause. It's not suggesting that we have to wait until construction starts to provide the contribution. I'd envision that happening in relatively short order. But we would work through, as the last clause suggests, between Mr. Campbell and myself, we would work out a relatively straightforward funding agreement that would have protection clauses in it that would be relatively standard. So it's certainly not an impediment to providing the funding sooner than later, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Okay. So it's your, I know that you wanted to have a subsequent, yeah, Councillor Johnston, but I will just ask, but it is your professional opinion that this probably, like, it's in there, you put it in there for a reason, like you just didn't pull it out of your hat. So there's a reason why it's there, so I'm going to respect that reason. So Councillor Johnston?
No, I agree with you, Your Worship. All I was getting at was that Rotary Bruce said this afternoon that, you know, they need the money. And the other thing is that we haven't quite said out loud is that the stakeholders and parties involved in the project, looking at whether or not, you know, the commitment is firm, that language there just is slightly off a little bit. I think it could be improved. So that it's, as you said, CAO Lucas, that we're not talking about we're not going to do it. It's at the end of the day, at the time of construction, if the financing is different one way or the other, we can make an adjustment. But I think that what Rotary Bruce was saying earlier is that they'd like a firm commitment, and we can do that. We've done that. But I just think tidying up the language. That's all. Thank you.
I'm going to go back to Mr. Lucas, and then I know that Councillor Jorgensen is waiting.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just all I would suggest is that the motion is in council's hands right now. I don't know that the language can be adjusted, but if you want to remove it, there's a procedural way to do that through an amendment and a removal of that recital. So those are your options. It is there for a purpose, but would it be fatal to remove it? Probably not, but council has procedural ways of dealing with that through an amendment if you wish.
Okay, before I go over to Councillor Jorgensen, I mean, I think that it's fair to say that this council and the town is firmly committed to this project. So, you know, whether it's one word or whatever, let me tell you from the front of the pulpit that we're committed to this project as far as 200,000 goes. So if it's a word we want to strike or take out the recital, we'll need a motion to do that. But, you know, let's not, it's not unclear to me that, you know, we're committed to this project. Again, I know we made a joke of it, but if somebody were to sweep in, you know, with a healthy donation or something, then I think that's why it's there. So anyway, Councillor Jorgensen, and then I'll ask if anybody else would like to chime in on this.
Thank you, Your Worship. Of course, like everyone else, I support this motion entirely. I do think it's important, you know, we've got a recommendation from our CAO on something to protect the interests of the town, which is our duty here. And I don't think it precludes the project from going forward, you know, and you know, asking for some seed money for engineering or design or whatever is part of that construction process. As Mr. Lucas said, we already had $20,000 in the budget to go with some kind of process stuff. So I think that's included in the 200,000. So, but I do agree that, you know, there may be some, Mr. Hemphill may work wonders and find a donor to give the whole amount where it's not needed. We can always hope. You know, let's get on with this. Let's show our support and move this process forward, because it's going to be a big asset. And I also just want to comment, you know, that we have seen other municipalities who offer the incentives to get doctors, and I firmly believe that, you know, offering a cash incentive to locate in a town only pits one municipality against another, and I don't like that approach at all. We've seen it, although it does work. It just you know, as I say, pits one municipality against the other. This is a tangible, you know, concrete and other things way of demonstrating that support from the municipality to attract doctors. When doctors start up, they need administrative support. They need an office to practice in. And this goes a long way to making sure that happens, as opposed to just handing out a cash incentive to have someone relocate. So I think this is a much better approach.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Jorgensen. Anybody else? All right, well, I'll just obviously throw my support behind the motion. Obviously, this is a huge step in the right direction for Gravenhurst, and we want to thank the Rotary. Boy, if you want something done in this town, get the Rotary department or the Rotary group on your side, because they work pretty hard and they work pretty swiftly. So we look forward to following the progress there, and want to thank you for your work thus far. And with that, I will call the question on the 200,000. Councillor Cairns?
Thank you, Worship. I would like to remove that line and see if I have a seconder for that.
Is there a seconder? Okay, sorry, I don't see one. Okay. So back to calling the original question. All in favor? Surprise, surprise, it's unanimous. So we'll share that round of applause with Rotary. So thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, so I understand that there's another motion on the subject, so we'll, Councillor Cairns? No, we'll just, we're not gonna shout out.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just didn't want everybody to leave just yet, if they could just hang in there. I do have a second motion to bring forward, and this is the motion that I have brought forward, and would like to see if I could get a seconder on that motion. Councillor Morphy is going to second my motion.
Okay, would you like to speak to it?
Would you like to read it out?
Oh, sure. I'll read it. It's moved by Councillor Karen, second by Councillor Morphy. Whereas the committee wished to ensure the Gravenhurst Health Hub project come to fruition in a timely and efficient manner to support the primary health care needs of the community. And whereas the Health Hub Steering Committee have identified that the total cost for Phase 1 of the project will be $50,000. Therefore, be it resolved, in the event the Health Hub Steering Committee experiences a shortfall of funding in 2025. It's a lot of pressure. The mayor consider additional funding up to $200,000 within the 2026 mayoral budget direction to staff.
Thank you, Worship. So the reason for this is just in case, and I really believe that Gravenhurst community and outside of our community, including other communities close and use our facilities here in Gravenhurst, will all hopefully contribute. But if we should have a shortfall, in order to get this project undergo, I would like to see, because I don't know how much the district's going to be able to contribute, and we won't find that out until, as your worship mentioned, the applications for the funds that are available through the district are being taken until the end of May. So they won't know and have a decision until our June Health Services Committee meeting to bring forward that recommendations of that health spending account that is at the district. It's been released to all other agencies that may be interested. So this is just to guarantee that the money would be available if there should be a shortfall, and that it would be through the budget process. And through the budget process, an extra $200,000 towards the Health Hub would be a 1% increase to our budget. I've spoke to, I'm going to say roughly around 14 people in ages from the young ages in their 30s up until people in their 90s, and asked them, would they have a problem committing 1% further towards the health hub in Gravenhurst to be able to provide us with additional healthcare services, additional doctors, additional any kind of services, X-ray and expanded laboratory services, as well as an after-hours clinic. So they all said, absolutely, they would spend an extra 1%. They would even, some of them said they would spend an extra 2% off their taxes or on their taxes for the next year in 2026. So this is the resolution that I'm bringing forward, or the motion that I'm bringing forward and asking for comment, and hopefully you'll support this. And it's only if needed. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to be clear that we just because there were some pretty big commitments, we don't know that there's going to be X-rays and service, like we can't decide what the services are going to be there. I mean, that's not up to us to decide, so I just want to be perfectly clear that this doesn't mean we're going to have X-ray and hospital services here. I think we need to just clarify that, because I don't want that out there. We need to be clear in what it is that we're funding here. Who seconded it? Pardon me. Councillor Morphy, did you want to speak to this further? Or?
Don't have much more to add. When Councillor Cairns called me and told me of what she was thinking, I think we could have a bigger footprint in this. It is our community, and so I support giving them another $200,000 and working it out in the 2026 budget as part of that budget through our financial services team that will advise us that way. So, yeah, I'm going to support it.
Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship. To me, this is a duh moment. I mean, of course we're going to do this. But if you recall, I'm being clairvoyant, saw this discussion coming up in the future. What I said was earlier that if there is any change in the funding, I'd like to have a report from the Director of Finance as to how we will do that. I'm not in favor of committing to 1%. It may very well be that we do that, but I'm not going to make a commitment to that. No, I don't think that's in the resolution, but that's why I said what I did. That if there's a change in the funding and we have to put in more money, of course we'll do that. That's the duh moment. But we need to have a look at where that funding's coming from, and we need to get a report from the Director of Finance on that. I'm not going to commit unilaterally to an increase in the tax levy. That's all I wanted to say, Your Worship. Thank you.
Councillor Jorgensen?
Yeah, I think I may be echoing my seatmate here. From the standpoint, I think this is premature at this point. I think it's based on hypotheticals at this point. Let's see how it. We have two things to sort out here. We have to see how the project advances, but we also have to have a review of the finances of the town, because coming through what we've come through, there's certain things that we're hoping but aren't a given. So I think this motion could very well come forward at the budget direction stage, and I just think it's premature at this time. But again, the commitment of council to seeing this project through, I think, is strong. But at this point, I can't say, as the motion refers to, again, it's a if needed, and well, let's wait till we know where the project's at, and deal with it at budget instruction time.
Okay, so any council, before I go back to Councillor Cairns? I did see some heads bobbing there. Before I go back to Councillor Cairns, I really don't want to see this motion fail, like we're not supporting this. I think that we can cross this bridge when it comes to it. I don't think that we want to end this $200,000 on a no. Like, I think if there is a, if the health hub runs into problems and they want to come forward and they want to, we know what the exact amount is. And we want to, kick in a bit of money at the end if we have to. I mean, ideally, this is a partnership with 3 levels of government and including Cottage Country Family Health Team. Let's not forget, it's their project as well. I think, I would rather see this withdrawn, quite honestly, than have to vote against it, because I full-heartedly support this, and I think that it would be really a shame to vote against this project, even though we're in full support of it. So I'm going to go to 2 points of order in one night. Councillor Hunter.
If we go ahead and it gets voted down, can it not come back then? Is that the procedure? So
Well, it can, but what I'm saying is it's perception.
no,
We're
I,
all
100%,
supportive of
I
this.
agree with what you're saying. I just was
Yeah.
worried that if it
No, if it gets withdrawn,
it could come back at
right,
a
and if
later
it
date.
gets turned down, we can't reconsider it for a year.
that was my
So I would, I like I said, I would hope that the mover and seconder would consider withdrawing the motion, having heard from the table. So, Councillor Cairns?
Thank you, Worship, and through you. So I'm just worried that, and this money may be asked for this year, because if they don't come for if they don't get the $750,000, like I said, we don't know what the district has. The town is saying committing 200. The province is, they're asking the province for 200, but what if the province doesn't come through with 200? I'm just being the devil's advocate here and just saying that just in case we don't reach our funding agreement, that it would come forward in the budget of 2026 and that we find the money in reserves to cover the amount for this year, if need be, to get the project started and get us on the building started, things going, and that if we don't need that $200,000, then we don't have to worry about it. It would only be considered during the budget deliberations. I'm not saying this is it has to be done through the budget, which the mayor will now be in charge with strong mayor powers. So it is the mayor's budget, and it will go through the mayor. And I just would like to see us commit to 200,000, because I'd hate to see the project fail in the first phase if they don't get all their money. So that's my comments, and thank you.
Councillor Morphy?
Thank you, to your worship. Just to repeat the same comment, this was a 2025 issue, in case they fell short. But I would be willing to absolutely defer the motion. I don't want to withdraw it, because I want to be able to bring it back if Councillor Cairns would be interested in deferring the motion to a later date rather than just out and out withdrawing it, so we can bring it back quickly if we need it and if they need it.
Councillor Morphy, are then you asking for a motion to defer? Well, you can put that up and we can see if there's a seconder for the deferral. Okay. Okay, so once defer is on the table, the debate is done. So, so we don't have it. So we have it in mind, but I'm going to finish my list here. So Councillor Varney?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Now that Councillor Morphy's brought this forward, I think I sort of agree with defer. Then it will keep it present. I hate to see it voted down, because that's leaving everything in a negative way. And we're so positive right now. That's such a negative thing to end on. So I'd like to see, I would second deferral, and then it can be brought back if it's necessary. But I honestly feel that this is all going to work out. I'm very positive. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a quick question for the clerk. So so our choices are, because the motion is on the table, is either defer or deny or approve, right? It's because the motion is on the table? So the withdraw is not an option?
Currently on the table is only one motion, which is the motion that Council Cairns tabled. The original motion, the original second motion, to add an additional $200,000 and for the mayor to consider in the 2026 budget if needed. If from here, council need to make a decision on this motion, so some kind of decision has to be made. You could call the vote and vote yes or no. You could table a motion to defer. You could table a motion to withdraw. You could table a motion to amend. Right now, all that's on the table is that original motion. I have a couple drafts of potential based on what council have said in this debate, but as of this moment, until a mover, a seconder, and the mayor has read, all that's on the table is the original motion from Councillor Cairns.
One quick question. Can anyone put forward a motion to withdraw? Or does it have to be the mover?
Nope, through the chair to all of council, by moving, seconding, and being read by the mayor, the motion belongs to all of council. So the mover and seconder are welcome to put their names forward for a motion to amend, withdraw, et cetera. But it could also be any other members of council.
I guess why I would say withdraw rather than defer is because we don't know what it would look like. It may look totally different. I mean, if it's 50,000, that's different than 200,000. So if somebody puts it forward to withdraw, then that looks different than, and we're not voting on it. We're just withdrawing it. We're taking it off the table, and then we can end on that high note. So that's, Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I think some of the things you said made me think that, we don't know the amount. So we're going to have this discussion again anyway at budget time. We don't know the amount we're talking about. It's hypothetical. So again, withdrawing the motion does not mean that we can't bring this forward with more accurate information, of which we have none right now at budget time. So, I don't want to presuppose anything in here. So, if anyone can make a motion to withdraw, then I would make that motion.
And I got lights on. Everybody's got lights on for second. So that motion is on the table. We got to get the clerk to write it. Thank you. Councillor Strength is the seconder. It was a race. No, withdrawn. Oh, sorry. Councillor Strength, if you can turn your mic off, please. Councillor Strength.
Sorry, I was in a different draft.
So, a motion has been tabled. It's been moved by Councillor Jorgensen, second by Councillor Strength. Be it resolved that the motion be withdrawn. So speaking to the withdrawal, I think we've beat it around quite a bit. Do you want to speak to the withdrawal, Councillor Cairns?
Thank you, Worship. I don't have a problem if we can for sure guarantee that we could come back and revisit if the Health Hub needs more funds through their fundraising efforts to get Phase 1 started. If they come back to us and say, we can't start Phase 1 because, for instance, one of the funding partners isn't coming through. So could we, make sure that we can bring this back forward before the end of the year? That's all I'm questioning, if that can happen, or if we're withdrawing it completely and it's never going to happen again, or can it come back to us and we can also talk to it again on the floor. I think it's really important to show, and I know how much Gravenhurst supports this. Like I said, I've reached out to so many people that wouldn't have a problem spending 1%. So I just want to be clear that this can also be brought forward and say maybe they need, I'd like to give them $750,000.
Okay, we're going to stick with the withdrawal, Councillor Cairns. We're getting a little off track here, and we're going around a bit in circles. So I'm going to ask Councillor Morphy to speak to the withdrawal, please.
Thank you. I have just one question through you, Your Worship, to the clerk. I brought forward a deferral, and I had a seconder, and you said that would stop discussion. So we waited for people to discuss, and then a withdrawal was brought forward. How does that trump my waiting for the discussion to finish? I just want to understand how, should I have just rang my buzzer quicker? Is that?
Okay. So, well, I'm glad that I mean, we have a motion on the table right now. I didn't see I didn't see somebody put their hand up and say, yeah, I'll vote for the deferral. I mean, I'll second the deferral. I mean, I'll have to go back and watch the replay, but,
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. I told Councillor Morphy I would second it, but we didn't vote on it. It wasn't brought forward as an official seconder, so I don't.
so it
think
wasn't
that was-
recognized by the chair.
No.
So it wasn't recognized by the chair. So, well, it would be up on the screen, as we know. Yeah, so, Councillor Jorgensen, I see your hand up. Unless it's something new or different, I'm going to just, I think, call the vote on the withdrawal. I think we've beaten this around enough. Again, we are unwavering in our support of this project. Absolutely unwavering in our support for this project. If there is a shortfall, this council, I assure you, will revisit it. I think it's really important to understand that. And with that, I'm going to call for the withdrawal, a vote on the withdrawal, please. And that carries. Thank you. And we're going to take a break. Thank you. We're going to come back at 1:45, so staff can get something to eat. And welcome back. Hope everybody is feeling refreshed. I certainly am. Final tax rate bylaw 2025. Okay. I've got it in front of me. Here we go. It's moved by Councillor Morphy, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Be resolved that report number FIN 2025-08 RE 2025 final tax rate bylaw be received for information. And that the final and that the 2025 final tax levy bylaw, being a bylaw to approve the lower tier tax levies, tax rates for the upper tier, lower tier, and education, and administration of the tax billing and collection process be adopted. So I think we're going to go over to Mr. Resilius.
Thank you, Your Worship. I've been instructed to make this as long as possible. Welcome to the wonderful world of property taxation. This report that's being presented tonight is, in essence, basically the final straw, I guess, in the 2025 budget process. It brings together all the other work that council has done to this point, and what it does is it sets the final tax rates and allows administration to proceed with the final tax bills for the year. Just quick highlights. So not only in the budget bylaw will be the rates for the town, it'll also include the rates for the district as well as the school boards. As you'll note, if you've read through the report, which I'm sure everybody has, the increase for resident properties is going to be 5.3% on the town portion, which works out to about $26.47 per $100,000 of assessment. More globally, for our rural residents, the increase when we include the district and the school board is going to be about 5.6%, or $58.10 per $100,000 of assessment. And for our urban residents, it's going to be a 4.5% increase, or at $59.12 per $100,000 of assessment. And as you will note in the bylaw, the deadline for the tax bills will be August 29th. So with that being said, I'm available if anybody has any questions.
This is the fun part of our job, taxes. Council, does anybody want to ask any questions about the report or about the... Okay. Seeing none? I just want to say thank you for the work. It's not, I don't want to, I guess I can use the word sexy work, but we appreciate the, we appreciate it has to be done. I mean, well, we talk about events, all these things, right? Like, that's the fun stuff. So, but this is the meat and potatoes of our business. So thanks for being the collector. And great job on the nice and short, nice presentation. Okay, so council, I will ask you to vote on the motion. And that carries, thank you. Okay, now, it is moved by Councillor Karen, second by Councillor Hunter. Be it resolved that report number DEV 2025-25 RE, Town of Gravenhurst Housing Action Plan 2025-20 to 2035 be received for information, and that administration be directed to implement the Housing Action Plan and ensure that action items are included in the annual budget recommendations and departmental work plans. Director Halford, are we going over to you? Great, thank you. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Your Worship.
You may recall that the previous previous term of council passed a motion escalating the priority of housing early in 2029, and I am pleased to report that since that time, a great deal has happened in our community. In just 5 short years, council has approved the development over 1,000 residential units, many of which are rentals. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm very excited about this. Not only that, we have actually seen shovels in the ground on many of these projects, and it's exciting to report that almost 200 purpose-built rental housing units are either on the market currently or are under construction, or not just on the market, but have been rented recently or are under construction at this moment. And hundreds or more are sitting, waiting for site plan, with site plan approval, but waiting for shovels to get put in the ground. So it's a remarkable thing to be able to report to a council that many residential units in the market that we're in, and what's been happening recently across the province. So we do know, however, that our work has only just begun in addressing the needs of the community. The Muskoka Attainable Housing Task Force continues to meet, and these meetings are a good way to learn about all the plans and progress being made at the district level on their Big Move On Housing Action Plan. And that's aimed at providing housing options to those in our community that are in the deepest need, and those who qualify for housing through their programs. So with that, the town has developed, based on our housing needs assessment, 5 roles that the town can fill in addressing the needs of our community. And these were identified through our recently adopted housing needs assessment. And that is addressing perceived development barriers, promoting target housing forms, aligning programs with local need, continuing education and engagement, and lastly, but certainly not least, advocacy for funding from all levels of government. And it's with those 5 roles in mind that the Housing Action Plan that's before you this evening came to life. So the proposed Housing Action Plan focuses on supporting the needs of our neighbors who cannot afford current market prices, but do not qualify for subsidized or deeply affordable housing through the district programs, which is what we call the missing middle. You'll see that it's an ambitious plan, but it's also a pragmatic plan, and it focuses in on how we can use the tools that we have available to us as a municipality to do everything we can to help get more affordable housing built within our community. So in the essence of brevity, I will leave it there. But if there are any questions, I will actually say that this Housing Action Plan was, although I'm here speaking to it, was developed by an interdepartmental working group of town staff who took the recommendations of the housing needs assessment, and we met 3 or 4 times and pulled together actions that we feel that the town can action on over the next 10 years based on the progress we've made so far and what will have the most impact. So with that, I'll leave it there, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Councillor Cairns?
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't really have a question, honestly. I just have a little bit of praise to go forward. You know, it was council's decision to move forward with some of these projects, but it was staff's due diligence to get things going forward. Your department handles quite a bit with, you know, your building inspectors and what have you, and how they've been able to keep up with the amount of construction that's going on is phenomenal. If you go down Wellington Street right now, they've clear cut and ready to go again for even more construction because they're sold out in the other areas. I'm very impressed with how the town is moving forward. I think it's, you know, credit to our staff, and I really appreciate how we're working wholeheartedly with the community to make sure that, you know, they can build and you know, without all of the, you know, little things. It's more, I shouldn't say more easy, it's easier to deal and get things done in the town, and I really appreciate it, seeing it over the course of the years. It's been difficult at sometimes for some construction, but it just seems like our town is booming, and I'm really appreciative to all the staff that have put forward so much effort to make our community grow, so thank you.
Councillor, are there any questions? Councillor Jorgensen.
Thank you, Your Worship. One number jumps out at me in particular in your report, and that's the affordability threshold for housing. When it says income-based, $323,400. I think we would probably agree that there is no way that any developer or any of us could present a home at that price. How do we deal with that? What needs to be done to build affordable ownership housing then? Because clearly we can't do it for $323,000.
Director Halford, $1 million question.
I was just going to say through you to the counselor. So that is the $1 million question, right? And I think what we've identified is it's not only home ownership that is it's not only home ownership that's in need, it's also those who are trying to rent as well. So it's trying to provide some different options in the market to be able to meet those needs. So I think the issue here is that we need to build denser housing, meaning smaller footprints, fourplexes, sixplexes, that type of housing. And it could be ownership as well. So condominiumized or other forms of ownership division. But the smaller the units, the more able it's to meet that affordability criteria. So what that means is that's what, based on income levels, that's the maximum the house could be for sale for, that it would be considered affordable, meeting the definition from CMHC. So most of us probably don't live in a house that's like even of that value, right? Because prices have gone up so high. So I think the opportunity for us as municipal staff and for council is to encourage, which is identified in the housing action plan, it's encouraging denser home building opportunities. So at a minimum fourplexes and higher, because then the prices can come down. Mm-hmm.
Councillor Varney.
Well, thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I'm always asking you about tiny houses, and I'm just wondering, is that in your wheelhouse at all for like 2 people that would, keep people at least with a roof over their head? Thank you.
Director?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you to the councillor. So what you mean by tiny homes, I'm not sure exactly, because there's lots of different ideas around there. But in terms of, there are no rules currently in place in Gravenhurst that would prohibit someone from building a tiny home. So that is permitted now. If you mean someone building a series of tiny homes on a property, that's something that could be considered as well. There's no laws against that per se, depends on the ownership model and that, but the concept in and of itself. If you mean a municipally operated emergency shelter, tiny home situation, then that's something different and not identified in the housing needs assessment as a role for the community, our community, for us. The roles that council approved through the housing needs assessment is looking at barriers to development, promoting target housing forms, which are purpose-built rentals, additional residential units, and a mix of unit sizes and housing options for seniors. So that's what we mean when we're saying we're target housing forms. Tiny homes are not necessarily included in that and weren't identified by the the consultant. However, that would not preclude if someone wanted to come in and build a tiny home, absolutely. It's always been permitted. There's never been any rule against that in Gravenhurst. Other municipalities in the past have sometimes had minimum size housing units. Since I've been here and well before that, there's never been that. Just to finish the train of thought here, aligning programs with local needs. So this is looking at different programs that are available in the community, maybe connecting business owners with that need their employees to find somewhere to live, making those connections. So that's a kind of a in-house project that we could do. Continue education engagement and educating for funding. So specifically the town embarking on a municipally directed tiny home development, not what the consultant recommended as being the best bang for our buck.
You had a subsequent? Okay, going to go over to Councillor Jorgensen again.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just following up on that quickly, the tiny home, I mean, the issue very often is it's not the most efficient way to build because you have to service it. You have to bring in the utilities. You have to have water and sewer to it. And it's much more efficient to build multi-residential buildings. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, because the servicing cost for individual, like it's the same type of services that have to go into each of these units, whether they're spread around a property or whether it's one building, right? And we want to make the most efficient use of the urban lands that we have already so that we're not, sprawling out, right? So the more efficient use would be to put a 6-plex or an 8-plex and build up instead of out. Yeah. Especially with, and we've had the craziest winter on record, or that I've lived through anyway recently, and snow removal for tiny homes and all that. Like that's just a complicating factor, whereas a building is a much easier thing to deal with from an emergency management perspective, from a land efficiency perspective, from community building, because there's an ability to have communal open space. So yes, servicing is one of the main factors in the affordability of development, and yeah, it's a much more efficient use of space to go up as opposed to out.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Councillor Varney.
Through you, Madam Mayor, again. Okay, so we did pass a motion about people are able to build a smaller home in their garden or in their back property, correct? Well, anyway, I follow through it. So that would be a tiny home, I would expect.
Through your worship. So that's what I mean when I said it's hard. I don't know if you mean like an additional residential unit,
Yes.
Which is having like which is having an apartment unit, maybe above your garage or on the back, a standalone structure that you rent out to someone. Then that's what we call an additional residential unit. And yes, absolutely, those are encouraged. And the province required us to, in our urban center, to allow up to 3 on a property, depending on the situation. So yeah, that's part of our action plan. Under promoting target housing forums, you're going to see a lot of our effort and the district effort into promoting additional residential units. Right. And I know there's lots of members of the business community and the development community that are very interested in that. And we're hoping to get homeowners on board as well. And there is funding through the district for these units. So yeah, that is, see, this is what the language that we use is important, right? So your tiny home is what we call in planning an additional residential unit, and yes, absolutely.
Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you. I'd just like to speak to, your point of we have so many more purpose-built rentals. We have new subdivisions going in, and really, I think we need to give a shout out to the developers in our town who have chosen our town to do this work, because ultimately, it's not us taking the risk, it's not us putting up the money, it's developers. And all too often, I think, developers get you're a developer, that's automatically a bad thing. But we need developers in our town, and I'm just glad we have an environment where developers are able to choose our town and build their projects in a reasonable amount of time. And yeah, they're going to make a profit on it, but ultimately, we're providing the much-needed housing through our development community. So, and I'm glad that the ARU topic came up, because I still look at that as one of the easiest ways to get additional housing is, on an existing site, put in additional residential unit. I'm just curious, you just said that you're going to be promoting this more, but have we had much uptake on that at this point? And why do you think that is if we haven't? Because I suspect we haven't.
Director Halford?
Thank you very much, Your Worship, through you to the councillor. So we haven't had a great deal, people haven't been breaking down our door, but there has been a reasonable amount of interest. The issue right now is just the cost of building, right? And that's, in the past, the deterrent was the cost of building, and the funding that was available through the district, although helpful, was only $10,000. And that, although that's it's a start, it's very little when you're building an entire apartment unit, either in your basement or an outside unit, which I think is more palatable to a lot of folks, is having somebody outside of your house, right? And you're not sharing a floor. I'm a very heavy walker, so I've always been told you'd never want having someone live underneath me. So anyway, in my mind, that seems like a much more palatable approach. So it's relatively new, and it's been oversubscribed to at the district level, the funding opportunity. So people are very interested and taking the district up on the funding availability. I'm hoping as we talk about it more, we have lots of ideas. The working group had tons of ideas about, having an evening meeting where we'd have our building department there, planners there, some members of the development community, businesses, and we could all just sit. You come in and it's like an open house to learn how to build an ARU on your property and what your steps are, and make it less about coming into town hall and more about being in the community. So we have lots of ideas about that, and we're hoping as we promote it, it will be there'll be an increase in interest. But right now, with just all of the uncertainty with tariffs and the market and interest rates and everything, I think that's really, which you will have noticed in the Housing Action Plan, that's something that's outside of our control. What we can do is set the environment and be ready for when people are able to participate, and then we can hit the ground running. So this action plan is really focused on getting ready and setting the table for when people come to the door, and we've got the right policies in place, the right requirements, a friendly face for people to come and talk and provide answers to. So really just getting ready for people when they come in.
Okay, well, I think it's easy to, Director Halford is obviously very passionate about this, so, and the team is, doing a great job, so thanks for all the work that went into this. I would say we can't talk about rental without talking about the Landlord-Tenant Act and how I think that sometimes can be a deterrent for people to get into the landlord business, so, we all hear these stories, and we know that that's a deterrent for sure for people as well. So I don't know if there's any steps that we should be taking towards reform there, but they've been promising reform on that for some time, but we'll continue to wait. So with that, I think we can vote on the motion, but again, thanks for a very exciting time in Gravenhurst. And that carries. Thank you. Okay, so moving right along from housing to roads. Roads, okay. So here we go. Director Stacy? we are going to read this. It's moved by Counselor Johnston, second by Counselor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that report number INF 2025-05 RE 2025 roads rehabilitation tender be received for information, and that tender RFT 2025 INF 002, being the 2025 roads rehabilitation tender, be awarded to the sole bidder, Fowler Construction Company Limited, at the negotiated tender price of $3,685,840. Wait, that didn't make any sense. $3,685,847.60. Yes, they couldn't round it down for us, excluding HST. So, Director Stacey?
Thank you, Your Worship, and I'll be pretty brief. The report before you, as laid out by the mayor, is to award to Fowler Construction. Unfortunately, when we went through the bidding process, despite 14 bidders being interested in this potential project, we only received one bid once the tender call closed. The bid was over budget. It exceeded what we had available for the 3 projects that were identified in our capital plan. So decisions had to be made of what project to defer to another year in order to get some momentum and do some of the projects that council approved. So the 3 projects that were approved by council were Peninsula Road improvements, Riley Lake improvements, and Baseline Road improvements. The type of work associated with Baseline Road and Peninsula Road is really out of the realm of what my team could do. So that was the decision-making point that we defer Riley Lake to continue with those 2 lighter projects. As council is aware, we do have a low roads capital budget available to us this year, which we've never had before. And it's the intention to use that $300,000 that's available to us in the capital budget towards improving probably 40 to 50% of Riley Lake this year, with the balance of it falling into the budget for next year's consideration. There you have it, Your Worship.
Okay. Randy, you might get some calls. Councillor Jorgensen?
Well, I did see Mr. Stacy look my way when he was talking about Riley Lake Road, but it sounds like we can still give them some information that something will be done there. Looking at our recent tenders, I was, happy that we were moving towards 10 vendors, 12 vendors sometimes bidding on our recent tenders, yet this one's only 1. Do you have any sense of why that is? Because, I thought we were kind of turning the corner on getting not a lot of bids on items. Is it because Fowler's is, they're able to mobilize in the area easier, or what do you think it is?
Through Your Worship, I would say this year has been the most odd year for tendering projects in general. And we've done well. We have had some projects that have had a lot of interest. I think it comes down to the type of work it is. I think if this was an urban underground project where there was storm sewer or water main involved, we would have gotten a lot of interest in it. But really, there's not a lot of contractors out there that do this type of work. So Fowler does have a bit of a monopoly up here. And not that it's a bad thing, but we did discuss potentially going out to market to get more vendors. But at the end of the day, I don't think that would have resulted in much and would have delayed the construction program in general. So I'm comfortable with the company that selected this project. And again, it really comes down to the type of work that we're asking for. Because the other projects where there was undergrounds, we got a lot of interest and a lot of bid submissions.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, I'll call the question. Please vote. And that carries, thank you. Moving right along. It is moved by Councillor Morphy, second by Councillor Robinson. Be it resolved that report number INF 2025-06, RE Oriole Crescent drainage improvements, additional budget requests be received for information that due to an unplanned increase in capital costs following the public tendering of the Oriole Crescent draining improvement project, that savings realized from the award of the Fairview Drive rehabilitation project be reallocated to offset the additional expenditures up to maximum amount of $500,000, and that the Director of Infrastructure Services be authorized to sign and execute the district construction contract on behalf of the town. Well, if that's not easy come, easy go, I don't know what is. Okay. Director?
Thank you, Your Worship. And again, it goes back to what I spoke about last report. It's been a very odd year for tendering. So in this particular instance, even though we partnered with the District of Muskoka on improvements in the area, costs came in unfavorable for the town. And fortunately, we had some savings in other projects that we tendered earlier on in the year, those underground projects. And this recommendation is really just to take some of that money that we saved on and transfer it over to this project so that we can see this project to fruition. As far as awarding of the project, the District of Muskoka is the procurement lead on the project, and they'll be awarding that project, I believe, in the next week or so at their next Engineering Code Works Committee. So that piece is covered, but this is really just a function of transferring money from one project to another because at this particular time, administration doesn't have that ability to do that without council direction. So that's it, Your Worship.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I guess there's a question there. So we have a motion. Right? Did we not read a motion? Yeah, okay. So if there's any sorry, it's been a long day. Are there any other questions? No. Okay, so we have a question there, sorry. I'm sorry, I just was zonked right out there. Okay, so please vote. And that carries, thank you. Okay, moving right along. And I know you'll be brief, Councillor Johnston, with your update from council. We're at that time.
That's a subtle.
No. I mean, I'm just teasing you because you always say, "Oh, I'll be very brief."
I'm going to be.
Yeah,
In
it's
fact,
been a long
the word
meeting.
I'm going to use, I'm going to expedite my comments.
Okay, great.
So
go ahead.
The Muskoka Watershed Council are getting much more public in a number of areas during the rest of 2025 because publicly and in various forums we're sounding the alarm. Our watershed is facing urgent and growing threats. And we're expanding our public engagement strategy because in order to do what we need to do over the next couple of years, we need to have the public on board. So we're launching our new supporter package and partnership benefits program. We've hired a very interesting marketing company. Their name is a well-known company. I mean, could that be any better? You know, your ad says, yeah, we're the well-known companies. We're well-known. Anyway, they're very good. And they're going to raise money for us to do some of these initiatives. They're going to get they're doing our marketing campaign. And so a couple of vital programs we're doing is we're accelerating progress on the integrated watershed management. And the term we're using in a much more, a smarter, more connected way. And that word I just mentioned was deliberate, smarter, because another issue that we have, we're planning on right now, was at a meeting yesterday, is we're going to be having a 2025 summit on the environment like we had last year in Huntsville. This one will be in Bracebridge, and the theme has the we're going to be addressing not what the problems are. People are tired of hearing that, but what you can do, and the sort of the theme that we're working on right now is adapting smarter ways to adopting smarter ways to adapt to a changing climate. We're going to have a lot of students involved in that summit. I was talking to some about the other day. We're going to have some public school students do a science fair. I think that's so cool. They want to get involved, so there'll be that coming. We're doing a a much larger outreach program delivering educational presentations and programs. I mentioned to you that the last update, we're doing some infographics that you'll be seeing sometime over the next couple of weeks, which will give you a visual picture of what integrated watershed management plan is. And I mentioned the summit. We're expanding our algae monitoring program to equip lake associations and their members with tools and knowledge to monitor and protect lake health. The other thing I want to mention is that Friday, this Friday, May 16th, is Endangered Species Day. And I mentioned briefly at a previous meeting that the government has considerably replaced the Endangered Species Act with something much just, it's liquid. So my final point on this is that, you know, flora and fauna is not just flowers and animal, but when we've done studies at MWC or through the Muskoka Tourism Board, it's the wildlife that is on a top 5 list of things people want to see when they come to Muskoka. And right now, 12 species in our region are listed as endangered, 12. 14 as threatened, and 22 are of special concern, from habitat loss to pollution and climate change. And so again, just to underscore the fact that the government of Ontario, in its wisdom, has pretty much eliminated that act and downgraded the Protection Environmental Assessment Act, and are putting a lot of this wildlife at risk. So there's many things that you can do on Friday to celebrate Endangered Species Day, and at that, Your Worship, I'll end it.
As promised. Thank you. Now we're going to go over to Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So a few weeks ago, Mayor Lorenz and I attended the OSAM conference in Collingwood, which is the Ontario Small Urban Municipalities, in case the viewers didn't know. We started off with a bus tour of Collingwood's waterfront study tour, and we visited their new redevelopment water treatment plant, which they hope to be finished in 2029. As well, we visited their little theater where we learned many plays, musicals, and other events take place there. And then we went to see their Terminal Point project, which is the big silos, which is really well known in Collingwood. It was really, really cool. We got to go through them, which was interesting. And we learned that they are being turned into a hotel and condominiums to be built beside it as well. And on the way back, we visited a few of their newly developed waterfront parks. Our second day was full of interesting topics. The Mayor of Collingwood welcomed us, and we heard from different speakers talking about tariffs, Canadian economics, housing, and Collingwood's BIA, who are very active in Collingwood. And our last day included more talks on tariffs and some different subjects like civility, harassment of municipal politicians, why don't people run, and why don't people vote? And we had a great speaker on cyber attacks as well. And the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Rob Flack, spoke as well. And there was a trade show open for the days we were there. We got to speak and learn new products. And again, I came home with a lot of pens. Sorry.
Well, thank you. I think it was really a lot of good information there, heavily focused on tariffs and the implications there, of course, and the unknowns, the uncertainty surrounding what's going on there. And I think, I'm not sure if, usually AMO makes these presentations available through their website, AMO's website. So if you haven't had the chance to, or you have the chance to look at the civility one, I think it's really important. You'll probably see, connect with some of the things in there just about the civility, from the public to municipal, since COVID, I mean, things have changed, right? So it says a lot. We were talking earlier about why people don't run. I think that's a pretty, pretty big reason. So anyway, very interesting. And if you have a chance, you can go and watch some of the awesome stuff online. But now we're going to go over to Councillor Strength, who's going to update us on what's been going on at Community Planning Services at the district, which, you know, peters down to, you know, housing and things that affect us here. So go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Interesting that you used the term peters down, because two of the things that I'm going to talk about are climate items. From Community and Planning Services, the Climate Hero program launched at the end of April, and it's a way for anyone, individuals or businesses, to take actionable steps to reduce their carbon footprint. There are 3 levels, bronze, silver, and gold, and you can choose various actions that can be tailored to everyone's unique interests and lifestyles. Some of the examples of ways that you can improve your participation is carpooling to work or to school, eat a vegetarian meal 1 day a week, reduce your food waste, collect your e-waste and dispose it properly. You can create a pollinator garden. You can plant a tree. You can reduce your paper printing. You can drink tap water instead of bottled water. And you can lower your temperature when in an office that isn't being used. So you get recognized for your participation, and they encourage you to go to the next level. Once you've gotten your recognition at the starter level, then they encourage you to continue along. So it's certainly something that people far and wide can participate in. The next thing from CAPS committee is the District Demand Responsive Transit System, which was introduced this year, and it is a raging success. It's been coined the dirt. Everywhere I go, it seems to be, I see the bus. It started in the urban core at the beginning of the year. It's expanded to Kilworthy, and it goes as far north as 118 on Winhara and the Gravenhurst Parkway. There will be further expansions this year to Bala and to Wattamohawk territory. It's also, interestingly enough, started out as a single ride, so you just paid for one ride. Now you can get a 30-day pass. So that shows its success, certainly. And my last point at 2:15 is I have sent this information out to my fellow councillors, the Enviro Hub Day on Saturday, May the 31st at the Port Carling Community Centre from 9 a.m. until noon, sharing the district's environmental programs, stewardship initiative, tools and climate actions. There'll be inspirational speakers, interactive booth, and hands-on demonstrations to round out the morning. It's sure to be an enlightening event, and we encourage everybody to attend. And that's it from CAPS.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that information with us today. I am going to, CAPS committee is the longest committee without, there's a lot that happens there. So three things are very important, but there's so much that comes out of CAPS. So thank you for that. So over to my mayor's update. I'm going to just, I'll try and make it brief. I want to remind the public and council about the mayor's tea, which is Wednesday, June 11th, 1 o'clock. The theme this year, if you haven't seen the posters, is Canadian Women in Song, and we've contacted a local guitar player who has done some events at the Opera House in the past, local gal. There'll be some interesting Canadian foods, and of course, all of council, we hope to see you all there, and if you could don your very best Canada garb, rather red and white or whatever to go with the theme, but you'll get a official note on that. Then I also want to recognize something close to my heart and something that is important to more than just me, but to a lot of people suffering with Crohn's and colitis. We want to recognize Councillor Robinson puts a lot of work into the Gutsy Walk, which is Sunday, June 1st, starting at Gull Lake Park at 10 a.m. Registration's at 9. It's always a nice day weather-wise, and also, lots of people come out and support those who suffer with Crohn's and colitis, and even just getting the word out there is pretty important, because not enough people recognize or understand the the complications and how these can affect these people's lives. We also want to give let the public know that the Food Cycler project was a huge success, and it sold out, I think, in 4 days, I believe, was the, I think that's a big success. And then, I also want to say, I haven't forgotten about a spring cleanup. I'm hoping that we can all get together one of these days and do clean Muskoka together. As we know, it doesn't have to be on that specific day, but it's hard to find a day these days that somebody doesn't have something going on. So watch your calendars for requests to go and clean Muskoka together, if we can all do that, and it'd be a bonding experience. Okay, and then I want to mention, I've got 2 more things here. One is that you may or may not know that there's been some momentum on the sale of the Muskoka Regional Center lands by the province. Stay tuned for that. We understand that notice is going out for a privately initiated open house being held by the potential developer this month. To be clear, this is not a town public meeting or open house. So we're not holding this meeting, it's the private developer. Rather, it's an opportunity for the developer to unveil their plans to the community. If things progress beyond that, there will be a unique process as the developer is seeking a ministerial zoning order, which is a provincial planning approval. Though we envision the topic being on the council table at some point in the near future. So again, if you get any, if you receive any inquiries about this, this is not our meeting. We're not hosting this meeting. It's strictly the developer. Okay, so moving on from that, it came up earlier today. It's the elephant in the room, the strong mayor powers. First of all, I want to thank our clerk, Director Thibault, who has been working with her fellow clerks across Muskoka for weeks now, trying to understand and get an understanding and to sort of guide what comes next. So always with new legislation comes more work for our clerk, and she has really put a lot of effort into it. So I want to thank you. It's all stuff behind the scenes, but I know that it's like going down a wormhole trying to figure it all out. So thank you for that very much. You will have all received, council would have received notice that I have delegated the powers that I can delegate back in writing as of May 6th. The following decisions were ordered: to delegate the firing of the CAO and hiring to all of council, and to delegate the organizational structure and hiring and firing of directors and managers to the CAO. So the rest is at the discretion of the mayor alone, whether a particular item or bylaw potentially advances or interferes with a provincial priority. And delegators can be revoked or amended by the mayor at any time. In saying that, I was truthful when I said I do not plan to use the powers to veto decisions made by council. I made my position clear in 2022, putting forward a motion that we did not, the month before the election. Peter's trying to remember it. I can see he's thinking about it. I didn't ask for these powers, don't want, not necessarily want these powers, but that is the law. So the town will and shall follow the law. But in saying that, I believe in democracy, and I appreciate all the different points of view around this table. So until anything further comes down the pipe, that's my position. So with that, I will, I guess, call for a adjournment. Okay. Motion to adjourn, Councillor Robinson and Councillor Varney. And please vote. Nope. Somebody didn't vote? Councillor Johnson. Okay, so, and we will fly through, we're going to fly through council. Let's find that paper, Madam Clerk. There we go. Thank you. It is moved by Councillor Karen, second by Councillor Hunter. Be it resolved that the council agenda as presented on May 13th, 2025 be approved as circulated. All in favor, please vote. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest at council today on the council agenda? Nope. Okay, seeing none. It is moved by Councillor Johnston, second by Councillor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that the council minutes from April 15th, 2025 be adopted as circulated. All in favor, please vote. And that carries. Thank you. It's moved by Councillor Morphy and second by Councillor Robinson. Be it resolved that the Committee of the Whole minutes from April 15th, 2025 be adopted as circulated. Please vote. All in favor? Oh, not me. I didn't vote. Oh, but I approve. Okay, that carries. And it's moved by Councillor Strength, second by Councillor Varney. Be it resolved that the following bylaws be read, passed, and engrossed into the bylaw book. Bylaw number 2025-32, 2025 tax rate. Please vote. And that carries. Thank you. And it is moved by Councillor Karen, second by Councillor Hunter. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-33 to confirm the council meeting held on May 13th, 2025 be passed. All in favor? Nope, there we go. Sorry. And that carries. Thank you. And a motion to adjourn, Councillor Johnston and Councillor Robinson. And please vote. Okay, well, thank you very much. It's been a long day. Thanks to staff, as always, for your